with the hour being after 7, we have a meeting, May 2nd, with a quorum. And first item, minutes, April 4th. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, any comments or anything? None, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. On the April 18th, make the same motion to approve.
Second.
So we have a second.
Hey, Jack, I requested that a change, make a change, add one.
What's
One change.
the change?
I just wanted to note that you had read off the notes from, the responses from Attorney Lane for the hearing on the Lincoln remand.
What did it say?
Oh, it didn't mention it.
Oh,
So I just wanted to mention that you had read the notes that we received back from Attorney Lane.
got that? Okay. Make a motion approved based upon what was changed.
Second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Well, Kearsarge,
This is the official, that's a draft.
we'll do it right now. Necessary public appointment?
I'm sorry?
No,
This
it's
is for the,
appointment, not a,
yeah, it's at 7:03.
okay. So, where's one from Carl? Where are ours?
I'm sorry?
Do we have comments?
No, this was just a major modification determination. from-
Yeah, I know, but do we have comments from engineering?
He's all set, he said, Cal, that's all he said. Although Chris is here, so,
It would have been nice, should have had all the,
Mr. Johnson took care of this.
Chris, before we go, I'm sorry, just,
Oh, no
do we have comments on what's changed and what, so that you can tell us?
Chris Johnson, Assistant Town Engineer. All that really changed on this phase, on this modification, was the pond was moved down the slope for the drainage. We had to move it down to make it work. And a couple small little languages about an easement on a driveway was changed, not to be an easement, it's more just an access path.
Thank you. I can, Mr. Sheriff, if it helps, I can run through a summary.
What's the differences?
So, as Chris mentioned, really, the only thing that's changed in the design is we went out per the Conservation Commission's direction, and we did test pits. So because of that, we had to modify the bottom elevation of the basin. Aside from that, the other plan changes we made were pretty much already on the last one. I've highlighted here where we extended the tree line up. There was a note on the original plans that said tree line to be extended as needed. Conservation requested that we show that. These access areas that Chris mentioned were already there. We weren't proposing to put anything in there as far as solar panels or any equipment. So they just basically wanted to show that we had clear access where nothing was being built to get to those locations. Aside from that, we changed the straw wattles to compost socks per the Conservation Commission's direction. That's really it. So as far as actual design change, it was really just the basin elevation.
All right, so based upon what we rule on is the site didn't get bigger or smaller, right?
Nope.
So you still.
We did, the limit of work area stayed exactly the same. We did end up removing 23 racks or tables that were encroaching onto the basin area. So the actual solar energy capacity got a little bit smaller, but the limit of work is exactly the same. And the basin's in the same location. Access is exactly the same per the fire department, so.
Okay, so everything coming off the north, nothing's changed other than some design, depth of.
Just
basin,
minor, the depth of the bottom of the
which
basin,
doesn't
right?
necessarily affect the site plan. All right. Paul, you have any questions, comments?
No.
No? Kate?
Sounds minor to me.
Speak up. Phil, you have any questions or
No,
comments?
it seems like a minor change.
Okay, John?
No, no questions.
All right, I guess you got a minor one, so what we can do is vote a minor and then just come back next time, because it's kind of like the way the process goes, and we just say, okay.
Okay, so next time you'll endorse the Mylars,
Yeah.
is that how it works? Okay.
We'll just say, because we had to do a determination if anybody wanted to come and see what's up. So major, minor, major, you would have been doing all again, minor.
Right.
But we'll do that at the next meeting, so, and with the Mylars. So I make a motion to I'll approve, make a motion that this is a minor modification.
Second.
Give a second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, get
Kate,
the,
Kate, you have the Mylars, right? Okay, great.
all right, so.
Thank you.
Well,
May 16th.
May 16th?
Okay,
You want
7
nine?
o'clock?
Ooh, he wants,
How about 7:01?
yeah, don't be so jumpy. So, what do we got after that?
Warwick remand.
All right, so yeah, 7:01.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll see you for the endorsement and the vote from, for acceptance on next
Great, thank you.
2 Thursdays. Thanks. All right. All right. With the hour being after 7:04, we have a continued public hearing for Lincoln Road remand. All right, and where's the rest? Kate, you got the rest of it?
I have the whole folder
Oh,
up to you.
okay, no, the decision. What we're gonna read, the law?
Those are the only things that came back new.
No, what we went over today.
The remand decision? Yeah, it's in your folder. Well, here, take this one.
Which one? No, oh, in these, okay. I didn't see it. Oh, okay. All right, just wanna make sure. All right. We've continued this, for one thing that the applicant was missing is, and that was from Alan
Over.
Hover, thank you. Whatever. Deputy Chief, on Tuesday, April 30th, the Whipple Fire Department received a new truck turn analysis by Kimley Horn, and find these acceptable for the fire department access. We have no additional comments at this time, so that was Walsh Brothers' homework. All right, we do have a note here from Walsh Brothers dated the 30th. Dear members of the board, in advance of the hearing, we reviewed the conditions by Robert Gemma and are in agreement with them. Okay. And we have from Merrick and O'Connell, and I think we all got this ahead of time. Is anybody here from Dunkirk? Oh.
Hi, Mr. Chairman.
Is this similar to what you sent in before? Come on up.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is. It's supplemental in the sense that since our original letter, we received the revised operations plan, and we note in our analysis that it actually looks like the amount of gravel that's going to be removed is more and may actually exceed 500,000 cubic yards, which is well in excess of anything that would be allowed as part of a residential project. This would be considered a commercial gravel pit operation from a use perspective, which is prohibited in the zoning district. As I said, the gravel removal is really no smaller than it was before. The application or the submittal materials note that it will be 20,000 truck trips for this project, 40 trucks a day, which during their hours of operation, which they propose from 7 to 3, means that there's going to be a truck rumbling down the road and in and out of this project every 5 minutes and 15 seconds. It's going to take over, they submit that it's going to take 1.95 years, so we're looking at a 2-year project, which assumes that they're using some of the largest trailers that they can possibly find to move all the gravel in and out of this site. So from a zoning perspective, as I had argued before and in our original letter, we continue to maintain that this is not a residential subdivision, that this is a residential subdivision masquerading as a gravel removal operation. And the case law is pretty clear that from a use perspective, this amount of gravel material, when you're talking about nearly 500,000 cubic yards, maybe more than that, over a 2 to 3 year period, is, from a use perspective, a commercial gravel operation and not just a residential subdivision. The applicant has not provided any information to you that would suggest that this amount of gravel removal is actually necessary for this kind of a residential subdivision. And in addition to that, as we noted in the letter, there's no information that's been submitted to the board, at least that we've seen, and certainly not in connection with any of the supplemental materials that they filed, that shows the full amount of the gravel removal, because what they're showing you is just a partial amount of gravel removal. They've not included the removal of earth material for the individual house lots. So on that basis, we're asking the board to deny the remand application and the subdivision application. We've asked for a number of other things in the event that the board is considering or further considering this application. It should get a peer review of the gravel removal plan. We ask that the applicant be required to post a bond for all of the work necessary in connection with the subdivision, that the applicant be required before this board approves the subdivision application to obtain an earth removal special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals, or failing that, that the board include as a condition in any subdivision approval that the applicant must obtain a gravel removal or earth removal special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals before any work can commence. We've also asked that the applicant be required to submit a revised plan and covenant that addresses the areas of the property that even on their plan are clearly shown as being used by the Walpole Sportsman's Association. And we've also asked that they revise the plan to address the proximity of some of the lots to the proposed or to the existing club operations. And then finally, we've asked for a condition for the benefit of the buyers of this of these potential lots that there be a disclosure of club operations and a reference to the same in any of the deeds that go out conveying property, conveying any of these house lots. So that's the nature of our continued objection to the project, and happy to answer any questions that the chair or the board has.
All right, a few things I can answer. We did have a review on the gravel operation. That was by Metro West, Robert Gemma. That was why I read that Walsh Brothers didn't have an issue with it. So he was our consultant for this. So he's already looked at it. He's been with us every step of the way since the remand.
Right, but they've just submitted a new gravel removal plan that, to my knowledge, hasn't been reviewed by anyone.
No, that's the one we did last time. There hasn't been anything submitted since the last meeting.
I'm not aware of any review of that plan. I received it just in advance of this meeting, so.
All right, well, they'll have to answer. Who's answering for Truax?
I guess that's me, Mr. Chair.
All right, Rob Jr.
My engineering hat on. So, what specifically?
So, he's indicated that there was a new gravel plan submitted recently.
I think what he might be referring to is the plan that was requested with respect to the timing and interval of the trucks, not necessarily impacting the amount of gravel that's
When
being
did that
removed.
come in?
It would have been the meeting previous to this one.
So that's what we covered at the previous meeting.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there's a copy, and it's even referenced here by Walsh Brothers from Metro West, Robert Gemma. He had about 60 items in there addressing this whole gravel operation and how it's supposed to be handled and so on.
I hadn't seen that, so I apologize,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
I didn't know if, with our engineer fishing, we were kind of all fishing here for that stuff.
Yeah, the last thing that I saw was an April 2nd gravel removal operation plan from Walsh Brothers, and I wasn't aware that any further review had been done by the town's peer review.
Yeah, that had been done prior to our last meeting by our consultant.
Okay.
Okay. In regards to some of the other things you've indicated, I even looked through it, most of the stuff you'd referenced, but I'm not a lawyer, talks about site plan, but given this was a remand, we got new one way or another as far as, is this a subdivision, is gravel removal So the way we've never been advised that this is not correct, that it's okay as a subdivision, just has excess gravel. That's been the road that's been we've been taken down, so it was never opined by town attorney that you should have to do this as a gravel removal operation, so that's where we are with that.
Yeah, I think we just have a fundamental disagreement with the applicant as to what the actual use of the property is from a zoning perspective, and that's a straight-up question of law, given what they've proposed, and I think the law is pretty clear that given the duration, the time, and the magnitude of the material that they're removing from the site, that is a separate use, separate and independent from the residential subdivision. But it's before you, it's part of the application that they've submitted to you, and therefore, this board has jurisdiction to make the zoning determination as to whether or not this is really a residential project, or is this a gravel removal project. And given the amount and duration and all of the things that I've talked about in the last couple of meetings, that's what it is. It's a commercial use in a residential zone, which is prohibited.
What?
We did ask our attorney.
Yeah, he didn't give us, yeah. My own opinion is, right from the start, this was always about the dirt. I know, I'm in the business, I know what this stuff's, so I agree with you, but unfortunately, we have legal counsel who just didn't say, there's nothing for us to address here. So,
We asked him about your comments.
yeah, and given it's a remand and all that, it tied our hands even more. So.
Well, I don't think so. We're still asking the board to do the right thing based on what we think is pretty clear law. I understand that you have gotten advice that suggests otherwise, and I respectfully suggest that you got the wrong advice.
Yeah, and every time I do it, I get, I'm questioned, so, but unfortunately, that's what we have to go with, and especially with the remand, because basically, it should have been part of an issue before, and it's always been, no, this is a subdivision, and they can do what they need to do to make the subdivision go. Not my opinion, so if you go appeal or whatever, you can have fun.
Yeah, and I guess that brings the other point. We shouldn't be forced to take an appeal on what we all know is from a use perspective, a gravel removal operation. And that's the position that we're being put in, if that's going to be the ultimate determination of the
Yeah,
board.
no, I
I think the
understand.
board should take a look at what it actually is, and if there's actually evidence to suggest that this is not a gravel removal operation and that we've misunderstood the nature of the project, then the board should certainly consider that. But in the absence of that, we feel strongly that we're correct on this point, and I think we are as an issue of law.
Okay. So I will say it was unfortunate that you guys couldn't, I use the term, join with us for the appeal. The judge said no. Would have made life for all of us a lot easier, but another legal opinion you probably don't agree with, and I don't. I come from a world, let's get together and get it done, not send out hourly bills, so.
Fair enough, Mr. Chairman. And I do appreciate the opportunity to address the board again.
Okay, thank you. You all set?
I am, unless you have any other questions for me.
Paul, anything?
Yeah, this is a tough one, Jack. No,
Kate?
No.
Phil?
No, as you said, this has been the position we've been in, so thank you.
John?
I'd like to ask the other board members if they've reviewed the case law originally referenced by the attorney present and that I forwarded to them as to whether they felt they applied to our situation here.
No, I looked at it, and the issue comes, it's the zoning board in Plymouth and the zoning board both in Plymouth. So, it's a zoning board, and it wasn't even subdivision control, which is a whole nother thing from site
It
plan.
wasn't subdivision?
No, yeah, the Boy Scouts are trying to do something in Plymouth, and Indian Head Realty was trying to do something else, but that had to do with like site plan, as opposed to, if it had been for subdivision control, that would have had a whole different spin. All right, all set?
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, you guys got anything left? No? Anybody from the audience, come on up at the podium. Name and address for the record, please.
Kim Williams from Deerfield Drive, 11 Deerfield Drive. So I want to reiterate some of the points that the lawyer had said, which is that, this is obviously a commercial operation, and that's pretty much the primary use for this property. And it's very disappointing that I feel like we're not really taking that into account as a board. You're representing the town and our neighborhood, and we're kind of in a situation where we have limited options, which is really ridiculous in terms of what I think. But the question that I have is, how can this get to the zoning board? How can this project go to the zoning board? Because we want to find out, is this a commercial operation? And should it be rezoned as commercial? Or is it, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there needs to be a zoning board opinion on this. How does that happen?
All right, it's, what's been said all along, and what was said to us by, I questioned this, and I kept getting chastised by the engineer that I'm the one that created that we can only do for the road. We did have an opinion back at the start of this from our attorney that says that this is under subdivision, and whatever they have to do it, they can do. But he did have an email that said anything beyond that, that's a whole separate thing, and that said that would be a special permit, that'd have to go see the zoning board.
So beyond what? Anything beyond
What you're
that?
gonna see is when you go in there, you're gonna see hills like this, right? But they can't build houses, well, they can, but you'd be up a goat path to get there. So they're gonna come in, I assume, to say, look, we have to put in septic, we have to put in the house, and they're gonna have to show how much more dirt they gotta take out for that. That's,
I thought that was already in the plans, that the plans I saw showed the elevation for the lots.
no, when the plans initially came, I said, take them back, because we're not doing the whole thing at once. We only concerned with the road. So that's what we ended up with, road with a 3-to-1 slope. So you're gonna have some right now up 20, 30 feet in the air, that they don't have much of a lot. So the only practical way to build houses is you have to remove the gravel to a point where they can build the house, put a septic system, and so on. That is not under our control, that is under the zoning board.
Right.
So they would need to get a hearing, a special permit from the zoning board for each lot.
Okay, but the 500,000 square yards is just for the roads?
Yeah,
This is just for the roads?
yeah, a lot more gonna if you take it down. The simple way to understand this is the way it is in our zoning book. Say you have a hill in your yard, and you wanna take it down.
Right.
If you exceed 150 yards taken out, that's 10 trucks. You gotta go to the zoning board for your house.
Right.
Doesn't have anything to do with the planning board and subdivision control. The same thing here. They're gonna go over 150 yards per house, the 24 houses or whatever it is. Then they're gonna have to go and apply, as Phil said, for special permit for each house.
But the 500,000 square yards is just for the roads?
Yes.
I didn't realize that. That's scary. I mean, we live on a very narrow, very twisty road that's, can't accommodate that. I mean, I don't know. It's very obvious to us that it's not feasible and it's not safe. So the zoning board would get involved with the lots?
Yes.
Okay, so for each lot, they'd have to go to the zoning board. And
Yes.
why would they need to go to the zoning board?
Because it's the 150 yards in our zoning book. We're the planning board, we do deal with subdivision control only, which is putting in a new subdivision with a road. We have a 46-foot path that we own, the town owns. After that, what happens beyond that 46, either side of the street, we don't care, because it's not our ruling.
Right.
If you want to start adding, filling, or taking out per lot, in our zoning book, it's 150 yards out, 150 yards in.
Yep. So, I mean, my thought is that we should ask the developer to give us an estimate of what it would be for the entire project. I think that was mentioned at one of the meetings, because if we're talking 500,000 square yards, and then on top of that, we have 24, lots, what would that actually be? I'm sure that they have an idea. And that's just something that we should, as a town, or, consider. It's overwhelming for us to bear that.
The only thing I'll just say from, not putting it off, but if they went from the zoning board and they got their approvals, the amount of gravel removal could change dramatically. Meaning they could think, I'm gonna take this much out, and the zoning board says, no, you only take this much out. So that will be a moving target for each lot when it does happen.
Right, but an estimate, a guesstimate or whatever. So the other thing that I wish you would consider that, but the other thing that I was thinking about is that, I mentioned before at the meeting, Swan Pond is, not Swan, I always say that, Symphony Park has, similar, well, it has a lot of hills and things like that, and the way that it was developed, actually, by the same engineer did the site plan, that I know that they had a lot of rock, and that's what dictated why they have the hills in Symphony Park. And there's no money in that, I understand that, but why can't they do that?
So
Why
if
couldn't
you-
they?
If you were at the prior meetings,
I was at one, not the last one.
we brought all that up.
Yeah, and so I guess I'm confused about why they couldn't do that.
We don't have the right to make them do like Symphony Park. So they have the discretion to do what they have proposed. We can recommend or we can suggest things, but they, we don't really have the right to tell them how to do it.
Right, and I understand because of the lots, but the bigger picture of this whole
Because-
project is how many, square yards are being removed. That's the whole picture. And I just feel like that needs to be looked at, and I don't know where what entity would look at all of that
That will-
and make a reasonable decision.
That would be the zoning board.
Right. But the zoning board's only doing the lots,
Correct.
so they wouldn't even be looking at the 500,000 square yards.
No, but you could have much more per lot, because we're only going 46 feet wide, think about it, in a slope. They gotta make a flat for a house and a septic.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Mark Robinson, I'm the president of the Walpole Sportsman's Association at 499 Lincoln Road. So listening to you guys and seeing that it appears as though you feel that your hands are tied. And that's unfortunate, that a 5-member elected board is going to let the town council make the decision for them. Your hands aren't tied. Look at it. There's things you can do. You shouldn't approve this project. It's a commercial gravel operation.
Well, one thing I'll say is, what your lawyer provided to us had nothing to do with subdivision control. Had it had something to do with it, then we'd be looking at it. That had to do with zoning boards and so on. So we're entirely different.
So-
Had there been case law for subdivisions, we would've went back to our attorney. He saw the same letter, and he didn't offer to say that this is similar.
So, again, it's unfortunate that you would let the town council make the decision for you.
Hi, Eden, Lincoln Road. So I've looked at the zoning board, what do you call it, the zoning board bylaws, and under section 13 for site plan review, because one of the things we've been asking you guys is how to look at this as a whole picture, because we recognize what this is. So I'm assuming this is under a site plan review, and that what this whole process is right now?
No.
So you're not under a site plan review?
Site plan is commercial, and that's one individual lot. This is under subdivision
So
control.
there's a separate commercial section for site plan review.
No, there's two things. One is our zoning book, which has site plan in it. The other thing is subdivision control, which is a mass general law. So we go by mass general laws on subdivisions.
Okay, so let's just see. So it looks like from when I'm reading this, it says it's all new multifamily, commercial, industrial construction, multifamily, commercial, industrial, things like that, but it also says that it's multiple buildings on a lot in accordance with section 6C4A. So it does sound to me that this is still part of your purview. And looking at everything as a whole, including the septic plans, et cetera, when I was going through this, that you have the responsibility to review and approve the site plans, that you can request your outside consultants, that it includes a review of basically everything. It says that has a review of, let's see, it shall include the following to submission: a location of existing proposed buildings and/or public or private ways in a project site, including all public and private easements, or the easements shown on plans, the height of the buildings. I mean, it sounds like to me that this is a regular subdivision. Section 6 says the height of the sub-buildings abutting the property, the proposed property, both public and private right-of-ways, rendering of all elevation proposed buildings and structures, foundation lines for proposed buildings, gross floor area, building height, existing and proposed utilities, storage facilities, including sewer connections, septic system, wells, any storage tanks, noting applicable approvals if received, et cetera. I mean, it sounds like it's,
But that's not the right book.
section 13 is not the right
No,
book.
that, everything in our zoning bylaws online is to do with the town as its own entity. We go by mass general laws under subdivision control, which are all laws that are controlled
Is
by the
that
state.
MGL 40A-S3?
No, it would be, I think it's 81,
So MGL,
yeah, mass, do we get the book here? Kate?
For what, which one?
The subdivision control?
Yeah, so
It's
no,
81 through something.
Yeah, note that we're not, they're not proposing, buildings, how high they're gonna be, where they're gonna be. None of that is part of the subdivision control plan. They're just
should
laying.
it be though? I think that's what I'm trying to understand,
Yeah,
is we're
it's not
looking
part of
at
the-
the zoning bylaws, it sounds like it is under the planning board's purview to be reviewing the entire site plan as a whole. And so, well, All take that up and look at what those MGL laws are to confirm who
This
is
is
responsible.
online in our, if you go to our website,
Okay,
all right, see the nice little picture of a subdivision and a ruler. And what it says here, it's chapter 41, MGL chapter 41, and it's sections 81K to 81GG,
A1K,
to 81GG.
GG, okay.
So if you Google up MGL chapter 41, section 81K, it
So I'll
pops
look
right
into
up.
that. It still is odd to me that we don't have, that there is no one board that looks at an entire subdivision site, when you're building this. Like, I would think that that all of it should be taken into account. So then I think what we have to come back to is that gravel removal plan. And talk about what kind of safeguards we can put in place for the community. It is an 18-foot wide road. The semi-trucks are 8.5 feet plus in width. There are school bus stops on both Plain Street and Lincoln Road. Hours of operation between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. just don't work for that neighborhood. And as the attorney was saying, that's a truck every 5 to 6 minutes traveling down an 18-foot path. And if there happen to be, if one is coming and one is leaving at the same time, they wouldn't even be able to get by because there's no sidewalks at all on Lincoln Road. So that really needs to be taken into account as the hours of operation of the gravel removal operation, which is what this is called, is gravel removal operation. So I think we need to adjust those to be after the school hours end. So 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., I think, or something like that would be more, would maybe help reduce the risk for the pedestrians and also other cars. The other question is about the damage to the roads. These are huge trucks. They do 10 times more damage per pathway than a car does. So there should be something in there for rebuilding the road. In addition to that, I think that Walsh should be excluded from bidding on that rebuilding of the road. This is his forte, it's what he does. I understand that the engineer had asked for a possible gift to the town to help compensate some of that. I think we should have a study of what that actual cost really will be, or have language in there that if it is higher than the asked for amount, that there has to be subsidized accordingly. by the developer, that he should be restricted in being able to bid to do that work himself, because he should be able to gain twice, doing the subdivision, giving the gift, and then getting the money back by doing the work. So I think that's something that we need to,
Just, I'll correct you on that. They don't build roads, they build houses. You're thinking of Welch Contracting.
okay.
Out of North Attleboro or Attleboro.
Oh, dang it, you're right.
The green trucks, yeah.
Yes, okay, that's actually good to know. When I saw someone doing Plain Street and I saw it was Walsh, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, they've done a lot of development up in North Walpole, and they also now have an asphalt division. I think they're doing the town
Okay,
roads.
that's reassuring, so
Yep.
thank you. That's awesome, because I was really concerned about that. I was like, hey, you can get it twice.
And note, there was a traffic study done as part of the proposal. in the
Yeah, but
beginning.
at the time, it wasn't with the 18-wheelers. It was just, he had smaller trucks during that traffic study. It wasn't 18-wheelers. And so I actually think we should do another traffic study on that. And in addition, given the impact on the road, this is a road that maybe 100 cars a day travel. You're now talking 80 trips. That is 44% increase in travel and just of these commercial trucks. That is going to have a lot of infrastructure damage that should be compensated for, the town should be compensated for. Whatever that cost is, I appreciate that the engineer put some caps in there. I think that it should be whatever it is. It shouldn't be capped at a certain amount. Costs change. If this project is 2 to 3 to 5 years long, from really the sounds of it, given the lots.
It can't be more than 2 years.
It already
because-
is, but it already is, sir, because if you're doing the roads at 2 years and you're doing the lots after that, that is a long, then you can't be doing the project. You can't approve it because you know this is only phase 1 of the project. You're saying the whole project's gonna be more than 2 years, then it's already outside the allowable time limit, if I'm understanding you correctly, of being able to do this work,
No.
okay?
All right, back to subdivision control. They have to post a bond for the road. So that allows them to sell lots, okay? So that means if you bought a lot up there, you know you're gonna get a road at some point, and it's a 2-year time frame. So the only legal thing with us is they have to be done within 2 years of when they post a bond and they're free to go. Now, as far as building the houses out and they could knock it out in a year, which we doubt, or it could take a long time. It could take 6 years. And also, and a lot of that timing, as far as removals and stuff, that would be something that the zoning board would have to weigh in on, because if they, you just can't say, we're just gonna take our time, or how it's gonna be handled.
I guess I don't quite understand. So they're
do-
gonna, are you writing in the approval that each lot has to be approved?
No.
So, right, because my understanding is it's actually the building commissioner who would then approve the actual building of the sites. We already know Crowley's, in support of this, and our concern is that he's not, how do I say this? Recognizing the risk and safety concerns and that is being imposed upon those that live in the area right now. And so that is of a concern of ours too, is that who's actually will be approving that next phase, which.
Okay,
No.
just to give you an example around town, if you go up off of High Street, the last Waltz 98 lots, they did that over and they sold it to Toll Brothers, and it took 6, 7, 8 years.
Okay.
The road was done.
Okay.
So now we have a town-accepted road. That had to be done within a time frame. But as far as building out the houses, there's no law that says how quick they gotta build them.
Okay, but so what do the bonds do then? I guess I'm a
The
little
bond
confused.
means that if you bought a lot up there, or you bought a house, and you can't buy it and pass papers until it's got a binder down, they call it, that first,
Fine.
it's asphalt.
Okay.
What they wanna do is make sure it's safe that the fire truck's an emergency. But what it says to you is, as a homeowner who's bought this, if the developer goes belly up, walks away, the town has a bond on it in which they would take the money and finish the road the way it's supposed to be done.
So that's the road, but not the development.
Not the house lots are individual, has nothing to do with what we do in our 2 years.
So he could take 500,000 cubic yards of dirt and gravel to create a road and never build the houses and never have a consequence?
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. Because then we are left with, because we all recognize that's probably what's gonna happen. And then, so we are gonna be left with, this town's gonna be left with an abandoned site that has been partially carved out, and I don't know how long the 3-to-1 slopes could last, et cetera.
yeah.
I mean, doesn't that end up becoming a hazard?
No, just so you understand, we have a lot of conditions in this, and one of them is that they'd have to stabilize it. So what would happen is if they abandon it or over a certain time frame, they'd have to plant grass and get the grass to grow.
Is there an actual timeline?
For how long? Yeah, in the thing, it says if it's been sitting there for more than, 30, 60 days, they have to plant grass to stabilize all the slopes.
But that's a temporary fix.
Oh,
I'm talking a year from now, like so if they're doing this for a 2-year period, the end of the 2 years, they're gonna have these mounds.
Yep.
And they're gonna have grass on them. And they don't ever come back to build lots, because they're not sellable, we all know. There's been a $1.5 million house, right, a little even further away than these are from the gun club, and it's been on the market for over a year, and it's a 5-acre lot, not a 1-acre lot like what they're proposing. So, I mean, I highly doubt they'll be able to sell these, especially 24 of them. Maybe they'll sell 1 or 2, who knows, for a little money, I don't know. But what's gonna happen then, and how long does it get, what protections do we have then to make sure?
Protections, what I said is you're gonna have
Grass?
Yeah, I mean, that's, well, it stops the stuff from sloughing down. You have a completed road with the sidewalks and all the drainage and everything, and you just be looking at slopes that are grassed.
So help me understand, I think back to Kim's point around Symphony Park and this subdivision. Can they put in roads at a higher grade than the 5%? Because it sounds like they're capping off the top of the hill, and then you just have a 5% grade to Ava. I don't know what the grade is to Union or the other streets that they might have in there. Can they actually put in these roads with using a higher grade than that 5%?
That's what we went through. We rejected the first time through because they're too, my opinion, and the
Yeah, they were
board's
like 1%.
was too shallow.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to what's buildable, and that's why it raised up.
But that's only the connection between Ava and
No,
Lincoln.
it was done on the whole
The
thing.
whole thing.
Yeah.
So is it has a peer review looked at this and confirmed that these roads can only be, these roads will only go at a minimum of 5%, it can't go higher? You couldn't build these roads at a 6% grade or a 7%?
7% is the limit.
So could these roads be built at a 7% grade?
So the peer review did come back with, and again, we hired our engineer, and that's what he came back with through
Said
our.
it could be done at a 7% grade?
Well, it's 7% in places. That's a.
But overall, can these roads be put in at a higher grade or elevation? I'm sorry, I don't know the right.
That's
the right
fine.
Yeah,
language.
no, higher, yeah.
Whatever it is, can they put in roads, in other words, not having such these extreme slopes so that there's less potential for drainage issues, et cetera? That's what I'm trying to understand.
That's what happened, is they came in with this, we said it should be, and we went to the max, and our engineer went and looked at everything and did it. Is everything at 7 of the max? No, some of it you have to change just because the road won't function.
So that's what I was getting at.
The
So-
road is at, per our engineer, is at the highest slope it can be to function.
So you're saying the top part is all flat, though, so how is that possible? Because you can have so it looked like, in the plan review, that it looked like it kind of goes like this, and then it's capped off, that the top of that mountain has been capped off. Why couldn't there still be some higher elevation in some of those places?
Because what was happening is the higher you go, coming off of Deerfield.
But Deerfield is 7%.
Yeah, but that's the max, so we had to go the max there, but when you come the rest of the way, it wasn't gonna mesh together. Based upon we hired a consultant to do this, to look at the plans original and to look at the revised plans, and they went back and forth, change this, change that, to make it workable. So in his opinion to us, this was the least amount of gravel that could be removed to make the subdivision work. The roads, the drainage, and all that.
With the 24 houses.
With 20, so, which is another thing in question. Lots 1, 23, and 24 do not show sidewalks, and it is required per your own subdivision requirements section, was it V8, 6 something B or something like that? They have to have sidewalks shown on the plans, which I think it needs to be a 5-foot sidewalk. They don't have that. So that should definitely be added to the plan where they have sidewalks.
We went through that discussion before, and I think at the lots, if they're not on there, they should be. We can make that a condition, but there was one, and I know it's the last one, is this is funny road layout, because where the road is isn't necessarily where the road is laid out, if you know what I mean. And I think when you first come in there, it showed that Lincoln Road actually goes in farther, and so they don't own Lincoln Road to put sidewalks on.
Yeah, we've been using it, the town's been using it for many, many years, and you own it. I mean, and if you, that's something that you guys can make a stance for. That road has been paved, it's been used by the town for years.
No, my point is, the road is, I think it's closer to the railroad tracks, the paved part, but the actual layout is, that they don't own, is pushed back into the subdivision. So therefore, a lot of those lots will be on Lincoln Road that the town owns.
So is that allowable?
Yeah, well, they front on Lincoln Road, that's fine.
200 feet, they need to have a minimum of a 200.
200 foot, yeah.
So I guess I'm confused.
They can only put sidewalks on their subdivision, and
But Lincoln Road's it's supposed to be the abutting streets as well.
no,
Yes.
No, no,
Look
no.
at section, I don't have one.
that's top.
They do have it here.
Oh, I see.
Your little book. So was it V8? Hopefully I have it highlighted. Let's see. 5, 8 sidewalks. So V8, B2, in all local streets within 1¼ miles of the entrance of a school, park, playground, or similar facility existing or shown as proposed in the board's master plan, and which street, in the opinion of the board, will be used as to the route to and from the facility. Oh, sorry, this is about sidewalks. It's V8 is sidewalks. To and from such facility by a substantial number of children and other pedestrians. So there should be a sidewalk on Lincoln Road, and we should explore putting in a sidewalk on Plain Street as well. It says required sidewalks have to have not less than 5 feet with a finished grade, blah, blah, blah. And it says sidewalks should be constructed on both sides of a roadway on all streets, all primary and all local streets. So you got the streets within the subdivision, absolutely Ava, Union, et cetera. But then you also have your Lincoln Road, which I think is considered your local street. So it's supposed to be also on Lincoln Road.
No, it has to be, we connect to it. We don't do the town sidewalks for them.
No, they don't, but it should be on the plans, right? They should have, they should
They're
be
not
allowing for.
they're not responsible for sidewalks on town property.
I guess, how is that town property? And how then can they take town property? So let me understand then, these lots need to be a minimum of 40,000 square feet, right? Per rural subdivision?
Got the,
So the rural subdivision bylaws are that a lot has to be 40,000 square feet to be buildable.
Yep.
How is it that they are able to not account for a sidewalk on this? Because those lots are very, very, I think they are like exactly 40,000 square feet around them. Those lots continuous to Ava Road also, that's the other thing, those are corner lots that run continuous too.
Numbers and, I gotta be careful with my phone. All right, I see the sidewalks here come right down to the edge of the road that I'm looking at.
Yeah, but there's lots that abut Lincoln Road, which are lots 1, 23, and 24.
Yeah, that's their frontage.
The sidewalks are?
No, they're on the new road.
What we're trying to get across is the sidewalks have to be within the roadway itself. So they can't put the sidewalks on their property. They would have to go on to the Lincoln Road. And if you wanted sidewalks on a roadway, you'd have to see selectmen, right? They're the road commissioners?
Yeah.
The selectmen would be the ones to approach to say, this street is gonna be very much busy, it should have sidewalks or something on it. The other thing is, Lincoln is one of the
Scenic.
scenic roads,
How could you put
so there might be
sidewalks?
restrictions that way also.
Yeah, but if they're building a subdivision, they're so right now, you can walk on, you can kind of get, there's a little area there where if you need
Yeah.
to, you can
Get
hop
off the
onto.
road. Yeah.
Is that part of their land, or is that town?
If you want to come up, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Lincoln, all right, what you got, Lincoln Road's actually paved here, but the layout goes here. This is the mark here, okay? So you got the sidewalks here to the end, but anything on here and here is Lincoln Road owned by the town. You have sidewalks
So
here.
the road goes to here exactly, right?
Yeah, and they got it, they end them there.
So what about, so this is the one lot here?
Yeah, but there's the sidewalks on the road.
Yeah, but there's no, what about over here?
You
Why
don't-
isn't there a sidewalk
because-
here?
Because there's no need to sidewalk, because you're outside the subdivision.
But this is part of the subdivision, is this
But
not?
you're out, but you're on Lincoln Road now.
It doesn't matter, it's still part of the subdivision.
No, because
No?
what happens is that they'd have to put it on town property. They can't put it on private property, because you can't have a sidewalk that eventually gets turned over to the town on private property. From a practical standpoint, it ain't gonna do you any good anyway.
Oh, believe me, it does. If there's any place that you can actually like step, or if you're walking your dog, okay, I've got someone come on me, brush over to
Okay.
here. It's very important to have those.
Now, just so you understand, it's not that, don't think we don't take this all in consideration, everybody's bringing up these points. We've had subdivisions where 200 feet up the road is the end of the sidewalk. So we say, all right, go see the selectmen, connect to it as part of the agreement, and that's been done. But here, there's no sidewalk to connect to on Lincoln Road.
Doesn't Ava Road connect to it? I guess I'm having a little difficulty. I'll
There's-
I'll have to look into that a little bit more,
But there's
so I
no,
have an understanding.
you agree there's no sidewalks on Lincoln Road, right?
There are some areas, there is no defined sidewalks on Lincoln Road, but there are definitely pathways between the brick walls
Yeah.
and the road. So there's grassy areas between the road, not all places, and then you've got some open space, then you have your, those stone walls.
But
So
as
we
I
need to
said
make
bef-
sure that that is still
Yeah, we're getting,
available to us
They're
for
putting them-
safety reasons.
yeah, they're putting them where they legally have to. Like I said, had it been up 200 feet near the lots that just got sold, yeah, we would've said you're gonna connect to them. That only makes sense.
Yeah, but I guess I'm still confused because it's saying right here that you can require them to construct sidewalks.
That's what they're doing. We can't
But not on
require them to
Lincoln Road.
construct off-site. We only have control over the site itself.
But you're saying, so isn't part of the site on Lincoln Road?
No, their property abuts Lincoln Road, but they have to put it on their land. Every subdivision, you only can put sidewalks on what you own.
Okay, so,
They don't own Lincoln Road.
no, I understand that, but shouldn't there be sidewalks part of, if it's at 18 feet, I guess I'm really confused on how come you can have them put sidewalks in, when it says right here, all the way to the entrance to a park, et cetera, which would mean sidewalks on Plain Street, et cetera.
That's if within the subdivision, you're gonna connect to a park. It's not outside the
No,
subdivision.
it says all primary streets and all local streets.
Yeah, that's what we have to put them on. These are primary or local.
Well, with Lincoln Road, so it's considered what it comes off of also. So Lincoln Road is considered is local or, I don't know which is which.
But that is, what you're interpreting is beyond what subdivision control is. This is a whole new project. If what you said, we'd be putting sidewalks everywhere and no one would build a subdivision, because you'd see them, Welch Contracting could have never done up on High Street. They would have, there is no sidewalks on High Street.
I don't know, it just says sidewalks should be constructed on both sides of the roadway in all streets in type B subdivisions.
Yeah, if this is an A or B or whatever it is, they are constructed within the subdivision, not off-site.
And then, and at least one side of the roadway in type A, okay, that's B. And then, hold on.
But
So
that,
then
again,
why have-
that's within the subdivision, in a type A subdivision.
Yeah, and then in all local streets within 1/4 of a mile of the entrance to a school. A subdivision, we all know that that's not, if that is saying that then if that subdivision is within 1 1/4 of a mile of a park, of a, of a park, playground, et cetera, then in turn, they need to put in sidewalks in those areas to be able to get to that,
Within the context of this subdivision.
So if you look at the definition of primary and local, though, isn't that?
Okay, just so you understand, you got the subdivision control there. We only control within that box of their land. Anything beyond it is controlled by the town of Walpole, the select.
I don't know, it's just odd to me that I think that that would be in there if they would actually think that someone would be putting in a 1 1/4 mile subdivision.
Well,
It's in there because they know that the subdivision
If you
is
come
not 1
down to
1/4.
practicality, you can't have sidewalks on Lincoln Road. We know that.
It's in the opinion of the board, is what it says.
Yeah, in the opinion of the board, okay.
So if, as Jack said, if there was another sidewalk connecting, very close by, we would want them to put it in and connect to it. We don't want to have a sidewalk which is only 50 feet long and doesn't go anywhere.
No, I actually think it should go from Lincoln Road to down Plain Street to that, so, because that is an actual walk, so it could
Yeah.
go from that small section of Lincoln Road to Plain Street, have a continuous connection to that park there.
And Lincoln Road is more complicated because it's a scenic roadway.
Uh-huh.
So I don't even know.
Land taking and all sorts of things.
I don't know if you
It's
could
very
have built a sidewalk.
Yeah, again, I'm not in favor of this. I just want to make sure that we're safe.
Oh, no,
That's really what this is about, it's just safety.
This board has spent a lot of time, we actually went to litigation.
Yeah.
So we have, we've been spending a lot of time, studying and making sure this is as safe as possible. So we certainly share a lot of concerns.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you. I do appreciate that.
No,
And it
that's-
looks like you guys have put some things in place. So then, I guess we need to go back to really what that gravel removal plan is going to look like, and that it should not be between the hours of 7 a.m. when there's 6 different bus stops, I think it is, on that, between Plain and Lincoln. So whatever time, once that is over with, I think that would be a reasonable accommodation, because you do have a responsibility to make sure, to regulate. I understand we're not looking to deny, we're just looking to regulate, to make sure that this gravel removal operation is as safe as possible and reduces the risk for the people that live there, and use that. I mean, it is people ride their bikes there, it is a scenic road. I mean, it's a beautiful area, and having a truck every 5 minutes of an 18-wheeler is gonna be incredibly dangerous for just also school buses, semi-truck, multiple semi-trucks, they're going to be hitting pathways. So, I mean, at least during those hours, I think there should be a reduction of the hours that they're allowed to operate and have trucks traveling down Lincoln Road.
yeah, so there was the traffic study done, and I was surprised it didn't raise many of those issues. And this was to get out the traffic consultant, so.
It was done before they were doing 18-wheelers, though. Originally, they had a smaller, you're talking about the old traffic study that was done? It was pre-18-wheeler, was my understanding.
I think it was 18-wheelers because it was, to get all that dirt out, I don't have it with me, but it doesn't really matter.
It does. I mean, an 18-wheeler is completely different than a,
Well, still truckloads every 5 minutes or whatever, so that.
So there was talk about that, is it possible to explore for the town getting a full truck exclusion on Lincoln Road? So that we can make sure that we understand, just so there's safety things that can be put in place. So I think that is something that the town should be exploring for Lincoln Road, on putting in some type of full truck exclusion, as was discussed by the chief of police, when he was saying that they should be going, not crossing over if possible, but there was, they could, legally would be one issue, and that the only way we could do that is to have support of the Mass DOT through a full truck exclusion. Dedham has it, a lot of them, Sharon has some, there's some other towns as well, and I think it's something that we should consider.
That is not us, though.
But it can be us.
No, it can't be us.
Why?
Because we're the planning board.
Oh, sorry, I meant the town, I meant Walpole.
No.
Got it. I was like, why can't Walpole do this? I mean, us as a town should make that recommendation to have that review, and I would think as the planning board, that would be something that you guys could do, is to say, we would like to have that, propose that, or then how do I, as a citizen?
That's what you're supposed to do with the selectmen. They're supposed to listen to the citizens.
Okay, so I need to go to my selectmen.
Correct. They're the road commissioners, and they can,
Select board.
Select board, okay.
selectmen. I didn't vote for select board. I didn't even know there was a vote. I must have missed all
All right,
that.
but the select board is the place to go to bring that up, and I will
Yep.
absolutely do that. Thank you very much for explaining that to me. So I guess it comes down to the hours of operation. that we should take into consideration. I do think that the gravel removal plan needs to be expanded on. Right now, it only says that they will only not process crushing of stone.
No, what we're not gonna allow them to do is a lot of guys will sit there, they gotta cut the trees, get rid of the stumps, get rid of the trees. Next thing is they're gonna take all the loam and pile it up, which you should do. And they'll screen that to get rid of all the crap, so that they can put it back on the yards, that's standard. But they're not gonna be able to, if they find a bunch of ledge, they're not gonna be able to just chop the ledge and then grind it up into 3/4 stone. They're not gonna be able to separate it, it's not gonna look like west sand. It's gonna go from the hill to the truck.
So how much topsoil are they allowed to reserve?
How much are they? As much as they want, but
Why? Can't you guys put some regulations? I mean, shouldn't it be what is necessary to?
well, okay, I'm not gonna speak for them, I'll speak for myself if I was doing it, is I'd figure out exactly how many inches I need to satisfy my house lots, and if I get extra, I'm selling it.
So again, that then becomes something that requires a special permit. If they are processing more than they need to be able to do the site, earth removal, earth excavation, then would require a special permit from the zoning board.
If they're gonna do it like that, yeah, if they're gonna start processing it, yeah.
Or take, like you just said, you were just saying what you would do would be screen more and then go sell that topsoil. So that then becomes a commercial operation. So all the more reason why I think that we have a responsibility to limit, within reason, I mean, I'm not suggesting, whatever is a reasonable amount of topsoil for them to screen for, so that they can continue with their businesses and have that. But if they are screening more than is necessary, then it becomes more than just construction of the roadways. It becomes a gravel removal operation, a commercial operation. So I think that there should be something in there around how much they can actually screen to ensure that they really are only screening for the topsoil that is necessary to be able to safeguard those lots, as you were saying. Again, I'm just asking you to regulate, that's all I'm asking you to do.
From a practical standpoint, I think in the wood, you don't find as much dirt as you need, because you think you get leaves, and that's all gravel, so typically you're not gonna have it. To me, they'll be lucky to get enough
Going
on it.
through 500,000 cubic yards of earth, they will have more topsoil than they need.
No, it's only the first couple inches, right?
Can we just explore that? That's all. I think that's a very reasonable request.
We've already put that condition in on what they can and can't do. We can't get into every little thing. We told them they can screen the loam, which is normally allowed, but nothing else.
Okay, but to what extent, like, that's my whole point, is to how much loom do they need to be able to
I
store?
don't know.
So can we find that out and then say they can screen, once they hit that, and maybe they don't hit it, and in which
That would
case,
be-
this is a
now-
moot point.
But that's gonna be, you know where that's gonna come under?
What?
When they go to put the lots back, and if they get the special permit from the zoning board. Because that's gonna come under the 150 yards of house.
I really hope you are right. I really am concerned that that you are relying on something that may or may not be happening, because it sounds like even here it's not happening. So.
It's not happening.
We're not getting the regulations that makes it a safer gravel removal operation that we need right now. We're just asking to make sure that they are limited to processing to whatever it is they absolutely need to be able to process, to be able to put back the lots, as you were saying, whatever it is, all I'm asking, whatever reasonable amount that is, and I don't know what that number is. I have no idea, and maybe it is an unlimited number. I don't know. I'm just asking for the board to make some type of determination or find out what that might be, so that we can help make sure it really doesn't become a gravel removal operation or an earth processing operation. The other things that I think that we should talk about are that right now, all it says on here is that on-site no crossing via on-site crushing will be allowed. That should be expanded to include processing whatsoever, or whatever language it is that's appropriate, but just crushing is a given. I mean, crushing means it's a gravel removal operation.
Can I just say one thing, though? In the recommendations we got from our engineer, number 25, on-site screening of loam or topsoil shall be limited to material to be reused on site and shall be performed within the identified staging area. So the recommendation that he has is they only would do processed loam that they're going to use on site.
Okay.
And this list of recommendations is what we would be adapting. It's 37 recommendations
Okay.
from our engineer.
All right, that
And
is.
and it's
great.
very thorough, it's very comprehensive.
I know, I looked through it,
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate a lot of things that were in there. So it just goes back to then just the road repair, that I think it should be it should be whatever it ends up costing us.
Well, that's what it says.
No, he has it 125,000 and then like another gift.
That's a different,
He-
that's town engineer. That's the town engineer's recommendation.
No, I know, isn't that what you just said, the town? Oh, there's another list of
Yeah,
Our
there's another
consultant engineer. This will all be taken up.
That I haven't seen, I will have to get that. Okay.
Yeah, so what it says is, let me find, give me 1 second.
Yeah. But I'm not running the meeting anymore.
So Jack will read all that when he.
Yeah, You don't have to read, I
So
can
Jack-
get.
But he basically, he says that there's gonna be a site person managing and watching over the site on behalf of the town. There will be a inventory and an inspection of all the streets before the trucks start. And then any damage beyond what the starting point was will get repaired, and unqualified. There's no
Oh,
limit.
wonderful.
Yeah, so-
Oh, that's huge, thank you.
We have, just so everyone understands, we know what we're doing, we've gone through consultants, this and that. We just don't let these guys willy-nilly. We wouldn't have been in court if we did, you know what I mean? So we do have that. We hired a consultant at the expense of the planning board's, what do you call it? We have a Kendall fund, and it's used for planning. And this is what he actually planned a better subdivision than what they had proposed originally. And he has over 37 comments, and Walsh had sent a letter to us that they agree with everything that our engineer has said to do.
Okay, so there is gonna, so there's gonna be monitoring, is there gonna be like a camera setup?
When we
that
get
you-
time,
Yeah, they're gonna take pictures, yeah.
I will read the whole thing. It's in here. It's been kicking around for a while, but yeah, you'll get to hear all of it.
Awesome,
All
okay,
right.
so that will be very helpful. If we do have other things as we look at it that we would like to see added, will we have the opportunity to ask those?
I'm gonna tell you right now, unless they give us an extension, we have to cut bait tonight, done. So if they don't give us an extension, we have to make our decision tonight.
So you do have confirmation that these roads cannot be built at any different elevation than it is right now?
Correct. We have our consultant who went and did it his own, because he's a regular engineer too. I mean, he does subdivisions. He went back to see what the maximum. They started here, he started here.
Yeah, no, I know.
They came out like that.
Yeah, no, again, I understand the compromise. It's mind-blowing to me that if you change the grade, that the amount of gravel didn't change. And I'm struggling with that. It did like by like 20,000 square feet was minimal. Or is this old, or are you saying this, the 500,000 cubic yards is no longer correct? Is that what you're saying? Because that's pretty much what it was before.
So we had gone over all of this the last meeting, and that's why I don't have it handy.
Yeah, I have that.
We went over the specifics.
Yeah, by the way, we walked the site with our engineer. There's been a lot of walking around and really asking a lot of questions about, can't you do this? And
Yeah.
so the 3-to-1, the 3-to-1 profile, it went from, what do I have here? And this may not be the most up-to-date, from 520,000 cubic yards down to 373. But the fill percentage may vary. I think we need to, this may not be the most up-to-date, so.
Yeah, because ours is from
Yeah.
April 2nd, 2024.
Last
That-
meeting, it was discussed.
This is what was provided to us 2 days ago
437.
as the most recent
At
draft.
the last meeting?
No, yes, 2 days ago, this is what we
Well, then
got as the
that would
most.
be it then, if that's what was provided to you. Yeah.
Yes,
Provided by
That was,
by the
this is the
planning
one
board.
that we
That was
had.
the original.
Planning board provided this
That's the
as the
original.
most recent,
Then that should be the most accurate.
then this
So
is
it went
incorrect
from
from what you're telling. So this, they have not updated
I
their
don't know if that's still
gravel
true
removal
though,
plan.
because that was what?
From the
This is
original
the
amount.
original,
Original,
Yeah.
yeah, so that,
and it went down
So
to
it's-
like 430.
Sounds like things were happening outside of our, with, like, that wasn't brought to our, I don't know, we weren't allowed to,
We were in litigation, so we had to have closed-door meetings, and it's not public, and you can't have the neighbors commenting when the judge is telling us what to do, and
yeah, we still should be able to, I'm sorry, the judge shouldn't be able to tell you guys
Well, we're-
how you can regulate to make sure that there is, that the pedestrian safety, that the noise factor, the dust factor, I mean, that's gonna be,
The judge did not tell us any of those things.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, we were though in executive session, so it was for both sides. Work to, we were ordered by the judge to go into mediation, and that's all done in executive session where everything is private.
Yeah, but again, we weren't provided with whatever it was when we asked for the most recent gravel plan. This is what we were given by the planning
And that may
board.
be the one. I don't think we know. I'd have to, I'm looking to make sure we know which one that is. What's the date on
April
it?
2nd, 2024.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one, yeah, so that
You
would be,
just
that
said
would be
it
it.
was different from that after you guys negotiated something that was different.
different from the first
From the
one.
original,
This,
from the original.
That's not.
so that's not 373 cubic yards.
Yeah, no, so there was a lot of meetings, and again, this is what came out from our engineer, what he
That's what happens when
recommended
you
at
hit
the end.
Yeah.
So we just don't, we weren't provided with the right removal
no,
plan?
no.
That's the right one.
We started from X, right? What Mr. Walsh proposed originally.
This is the same thing of what he proposed
No,
before.
it is not. It is not. It is not.
That's
It is
revised.
not.
It's revised.
What he wanted was exactly not that plan.
This is the exact, minus one thing, this is the same plan he submitted in 2021.
No.
No.
Even on April 18th, your own engineer said that. On his review, he even said that there were almost no changes to the plan from his original.
No changes from the revised plan that he'd submitted.
Yeah.
Not changes, I don't know, so we need to make sure we have the right document.
Yeah, because
It was an original.
So
We started to
I would
revise.
defer to, why don't we have the, Mr. Wash's attorney speak on this?
okay, yeah, because we
Yeah,
have
make
the
sure
April
we're-
2nd one. It sounds like there's something more recent.
That's it. April 2nd.
Okay.
So
But-
then we do
But
need to
when-
talk about this.
But ma'am, what we had was an original plan. They started to revise it. Then it went to litigation. That's where it stopped. So at that point, we went from X to Y. We did have a revised plan at Y. So that's what they're saying, that there's been no change since Y, not X, right? Then it went to litigation, which then we're advised by lawyers. We're advised. I mean, I don't,
I have reviewed the 4/2/24 plan to the previous plan with the last revision date of 10/18/2021.
Can I interrupt you for one
Yeah.
second? I'm sorry. Could you please tell me what you have in front of you? The
I am,
most
thank
recent
you.
one? No, the one, so the April,
What's that
the
one?
gravel removal plan, how much are the cubic yards?
April 2nd, 2024 is the date. It says approximately 437 cubic
So we
yards.
started at 575. So on October 7th, 2021, we were at 575.
So, I'll have to look at that one. The current plan contains the same information with the previous plan, except the previous volume of removal was 410 cubic yards, the current volume is 437 cubic yards, and no supporting calculations are provided. However, the volume would likely decrease when Ava Drive was elevated and increase when the staging area of Lot 1 and 2 was included. The swell factor was lowered from 15% to 12%, which reduces the volume of material to be removed. No calculations are provided to support either number. However, discussions with Mr. Truix indicate the swell factor is within generally acceptable norms.
Are those
Yeah, so I
Carl?
think-
Those are Carl's comments from
Right,
from
and they were
April 18th.
But
They
I
were responded to.
And I think the original plan, when he talks original, that's the original plan that our engineer came up with, compared to when I believe, to when Mr. Wash's engineer came forward with what they did.
He was reviewing the October 18th, 2021 plan to the 4/2/2024.
I mean, I think we need to look at that. So the original, what we have in our document for the original plan was 500 and, John, we have that, right?
You have.
Yeah. I just, did you give that back to me? But,
Yes, I did.
yeah.
There we go, come to us.
I think we can, we would need to do some little research together, put all the numbers down, but, yeah, that's Carl's notes.
Yeah, I was just, that's why.
And the 21 plan might have been-
Any changes from your own engineers, from our town's engineers' review. And you guys were saying that it had it dropped to 337, which is not reflective, which is different than both the number on the 4.2 plan and the prior plan, because you have a number of 337, which is very which is different than this.
But again, this was an earlier iteration
Yeah.
of trying to reduce the amount of gravel and then working with our engineer and then working back with the developers on what was, and that, you know, this is all through the process where we were going through that.
Yeah, so the hours of gravel removal, given the safety concerns with people that are walking in there is of concern. That's actually, it's gonna be monitored.
That's how far back.
And what about road debris? Is there gonna be, there's a plan in place for that? Because I don't see that, none of that's written in here, and that's why it's hard for me to know what this new plan is, to be able to talk about what we would like to see to help make sure that it is safe as possible for us.
Yeah, he's recommending a.
I know, I'm just saying, we don't have that, so
Yeah,
we don't know
I
what
don't
to
think
ask
that.
for.
He's recommending that there be a
I'm
management
gonna
plan.
Yeah, no,
cut
no,
it, I'm gonna read it now, so everybody can hear it, so that if you have a question, rather than wait to the end like we normally do, okay? These are gonna be part of our special conditions, okay? And first one up is Carl Baldus, April 18th. He has two sections. One is plan comments, basically fixing spelling mistakes and that stuff. Like he wants to label parcel B, he wants to have a dashed offset line from the right of way. These are strictly engineering drafting comments that does not affect anything we're all concerned with. Another example, drain manhole 22, it's missing an invert at elevation 7940. Revised labels on another manhole, label light pole and base details, okay? That's pretty much everything in his plan review, because we get this all the time. Now, his suggested conditions, which are gonna be part of this, is, he said, the first one is, in order to make Lincoln Road paving be in a condition acceptable for long-term heavy trucking, is mill the pavement to 2 inches from Deerfield to the town line, and note that the portion of Lincoln that was just paved some time ago and has deteriorated since original view. This could either be performed by the applicant or by funding a gift to the town for this purpose in the amount of $45,000. If the funding is provided by a gift, it should be required endorsement and prior to work commencing on the project. So what he said is, we gotta fix the road before they start. Second one is, in order to maintain hauling route paving in good condition, require the funding of a gift of about $125,000 for the town to mill, pave, and incidental for milling, paving Lincoln Road from the paving seam, from Deerfield as noted above to Plain Street. This condition should be flexible enough to allow funding repairs and damage along the hauling route. However, the intent of this is based upon the limits noted. The timing for this work is commenced, but prior to extending the release of the covenant. So to start, you're gonna get paving, and at the end, and as you go, what Kyle's recommended will be in there, that will be done. From our Metro West consultant, this is a bunch of them, most of you people are gonna hear right now, might have your concerns. Prior to the beginning of off-site trucking activities, the applicant shall provide the planning board a survey evaluation of the condition of all roads proposed to be used for the export trucks within the town of Walpole. This survey shall document the general condition of the pavement along the routes and shall specifically identify any structural deficiencies in the pavement, any bridge, culvert, or crossings. Such documentation shall identify the specific location and provide photographs of the condition, and shall have a brief engineering description of the issues. This report will serve as a baseline to see what damage has been caused by the trucks. Prior to beginning tree removal activities, the applicant shall provide to the planning board a stormwater prevention plan and proof of coverage under the US EPA. So that they have, it's called a SWEP, they have to do that before anything over 5 acres. The applicant shall provide the town engineer with anticipated truck routes prior to export. Notice shall be given at any time when the routes are changed or added. The applicant shall be liable for any damage that results from the export activities to public ways within the town of Walpole. Damage observations shall be made by the town engineer, reported to the planning board, and the applicant shall be obligated to complete the repairs to the damaged roadways or post a cash surety in the amount sufficient to complete the repairs by using the public bid process. Failure to complete the repairs or post a cash surety will result in a stop work order until such time repairs are made. No excavation machinery or hauling truck shall be allowed to idle for more than 15 minutes. Basically, you're not gonna have trucks lined up there at, 6:30, waiting to get in. Prior to tree clearing, the limit of the work line as defined in the grading plans on sheets 10 through 12, inclusive on the plan set, shall be staked by a professional land surveyor. A high-quality construction security fence shall be installed along the limit to prevent accidental injuries from occurring to residents or trespassers. No entry sign shall be posted along this line at intervals not to exceed 50 feet. So what it basically is they're gonna stake the whole thing out and put that orange snow fence or plastic fence. A locked security gate shall be installed at all construction points of entry and shall be locked at the close of each workday. And that gate should be naturally to keep people out with vehicles. Prior to construction, the applicant shall submit a construction schedule to the planning board in the town. The schedule shall be updated and resubmitted at the beginning of each month until the binder code of payment is in place on all roads. Binder is very important because you can't sell lots or give occupancies because it would be a safety hazard if they had to travel fire department or police on a dirt road. The applicant shall designate a project superintendent that will be available on a 24/7 basis to respond to any urgent construction issues. The cell phone number and email address of the superintendent will be provided to the board, the town engineer, and the building inspector. The applicant shall designate and engage at its expense an environmental monitor whose qualifications shall be approved by the board. The environmental monitor shall have experience in road and site construction, wetland and resource protection, noise and dust control. The environmental monitor shall have a cell phone number and an email to the board, the engineer, on a 24/7 week basis. The environmental monitor shall conduct weekly site inspections of the site and off-site truck routes and shall prepare reports on a weekly basis on his or her findings and recommendations. The environmental monitor shall perform inspections after all rainfall events that exceed a volume of 1 inch in 24 hours or 1.5 inches in 48 hours. And these summary reports shall include all the conditions and that should be filed with the town engineer. Basically what that is, we have a big rainstorm, if we get washouts, they want the monitor to go out and check them to see how we're doing. Prior to tree clearing, a pre-construction meeting shall be held to include the environmental monitor, the superintendent, and a representative from the town designated by the planning board. The purpose of this meeting will be for all parties to review the schedule, initial truck routes, and review all the conditions of approval. Project hours of operation shall be Monday through Friday, 7 to 3. No excavation of gravel export shall be allowed on weekends or holidays. No diesel engines shall be, or any truck equipment shall be allowed to operate before 7 a.m. or after 5 p.m. And what that means, if you have a backhoe out there just digging for the next morning, you can do it till 5, but nothing's going out the gate after 3. No dump trucks or trailer dumps can be stored on site overnight. No more than 40 trips of vehicles exporting earth materials from the site may occur on any working day as defined between 7 and 3 p.m. The site superintendent shall keep a daily log of all the trip exports. The log shall include the number of trips, identify the mass registration plate, time the vehicle departed, and the designation, the approximate volume exported. These logs shall be provided to the planning board upon request. Prior to removal of earth, the first 150 feet of Ava Lane, beginning at the intersection of Lincoln Road, shall be fully reconstructed to binder coat and shall include a 12-inch deep stabilizing base. The binder coat shall be installed with a minimum of 3 inches, so that when they come out of there, this will be the runway, so that's where all the dirt hopefully will fall off. Beyond the binder coat installed above, the next 100 feet of Ava Drive shall be constructed to subgrade, stabilized with a minimum of 12-inch clean washed aggregate stone with a gradation of 2 to 6 inches. This section of Ava Drive shall serve as a wash station for the vehicles entering the site onto public ways. So basically, they're gonna have a fire hose or a hose, and they're just gonna wash the trucks down there. The vehicles exiting the site shall be inspected for mud on the tires, if necessary, washed prior to exiting on private ways. The applicant shall be responsible for sufficient water to accomplish this, and if town water is used, they're gonna have to get a meter acceptable to the water department. The binder portion of Ava Lane, as well as Lincoln Road where it meets Ava Lane, shall be swept daily at the close of work. So it's gonna get swept. All export trucks exiting the site shall be equipped with dust covers to prevent discharge of airborne particles. Equipment refueling shall be performed outside of all wetland buffer zones in accordance with any conditions issued by the Conservation Commission. On-site processing of stone is prohibited, including but not limited to crushing, sorting, and washing. On-site screening of loam or topsoil shall be limited to the material to be reused on-site and shall be performed within the identified staging area. All stumps removed from the site and disposed in accordance with local regulations. No grinding of stumps on site. Safety signage shall be installed along Lincoln Road to warn vehicles traveling on Lincoln Road to the presence of construction traffic exiting the site. All signage shall be installed in accordance with the town bylaws and regulations. This approval does not relieve the applicant of his obligation to maintain any other local, state, or federal approvals for earth and material from the site. The planning board has made no determination of applicability of any other earth removal or regulations. Silt barriers approved prior to installation by the town engineer shall be installed at the limit of all disturbed areas and at the base of all slopes. Erosion control measures shall also comply with the requirements of the Conservation Commission. Siltation barriers shall be maintained in good working order for the duration of the project. The barriers shall be inspected by the environmental monitor during a weekly inspection and the conditions documented. Any exposed surfaces subject to wind erosion and airborne transports of fine particles shall be stabilized by the application of water, wetting agents, or other means. No exposed slope at the end of the workday shall be left in a condition where the slope exceeds 3 horizontal to 1 vertical. So we're not gonna allow cliffs, that some kid could get in there and create a problem. Material stockpiles on site shall have siltation barriers around them at the base of the stockpile. Any stockpile maintained in excess of 14 days shall be loamed and seeded to prevent erosions. If stockpiles are prone to discharge of airborne particles, the exposed surface shall be protected with hay, erosion blankets, or other means to stop the particle transport. No slope shall remain exposed for more than 14 days. Slopes shall not exceed a gradient of 3 to 1 and shall be loamed and seeded. Where stabilizing vegetation cannot be established due to weather, growing conditions, slopes will be stabilized with erosion control blankets, tackifiers, or other means. If hay is used as a temporary stabilization of exposed surfaces, its use shall be limited to salt to sea hay. Field hay shall not be used due to its potential introduction of invasive plant species to the site and adjoining properties. The applicant shall maintain a log of all erosion control materials used for the site, including the source and quantity of materials. And upon completion of earth removal operations, paved areas of the project, including the Ava Drive entrance from Lincoln Road, shall be inspected by the town engineer and have the authority to correct required to have any corrective actions that need to be replaced. And that's from our Robert Gemma from Metro West. We have an original email goes back to 2021, and it is from Copeland and Page, and it says, this is in regards to removal of the lots after we're done. He says, "It's in my opinion subdivision rules and regulations, the planning board may limit earth removal to the subdivision to which that is necessary for site preparation and construction, unless a special permit is obtained from the Board of Appeals as set forth in the zoning bylaw of Walpole, which he indicated that they could have gone to the zoning board first and then to us. And I agree with the chair that the planning board is not required to approve a plan requiring earth removal in excess of what is needed to construct the roads. The amount of earth removal required to construct compliant roads and utilities to serve the proposed subdivision lots is an engineering question. I recommend the planning board review. It's with a consulting engineer. As noted in the zoning bylaws, if the applicant is willing to obtain a special permit for earth removal in addition to what's necessary road construction, we could allow it all under the same plan. So what he's said here, and that's one of the conditions, is that they'll have to seek it, and the way it's worded in our conditions for him is, go back. Way back. All right, oops. I know. All right. I'll go back to Carl. So it said, prior to endorsement, the subdivision plan revised per the plan review comments from the town engineer dated, prior to endorsements, the subdivision plan shall be revised per the plan review comments from the town engineer dated April 18th. Prior to covenant release, both the items listed as suggested conditions by the town engineer shall be complete and accepted by the board. So those Carl's two comments on milling the road and the 45,000 and the 125. And what that says is prior to covenant release. So what happens is, when you approve something, you gotta wait 20 days, and then they can come back and to get it released, they can give us what we call a Form F covenant. So what we're telling them is, before we'll sign off on that, they have to have already done something with the money as Carl's recommended. Regarding Metro West comments and recommendations, we changed the timeline a little, and number 8 is changed to prior to endorsement, and number 8 was, he said prior to construction, they'll submit a schedule. Well, we'd like that up front so we know what we're dealing with, so they just walk in with a schedule that day, and then they can have their endorsement, and that's after the 20-day appeal period. It's pretty simple. And number 10, the environmental monitor shall be presented to the board prior to the release of covenant. So before we give them the covenant, they go record it and either bond the road or whatever, they'll already have to have their environmental monitor. So what these are is, we're gonna make sure that we get what we want, we need, before they go to the next step. Because once you get them out there, you never get them back. You have to have some type of, you do this, we do that. And that's on those two ones. And town council's email, it says town council's email of August 3rd, 2021, requiring that any excavation beyond what is required for the subdivision must seek zoning board's appeals approval for the special permit prior to the release of covenant. So what that means in a nutshell is, we go through the process, it gets approved, then we get to the point where the 20 days appeal period's up, we sign the plans. Before we release the covenant, they will have to have gone to the zoning board for a special permit. And in regards to the police chief's memo, what he had said was, he indicated that at the bottom of his memo, he said an inquiry is made about prohibiting a left turn from the site so the trucks would only turn south on the Lincoln Road. That thought being that they would not have to cross traffic. That has limited the site distance, and there are less residential homes on this side, thus causing less disruption. I agree this would be ideal. I respectfully request the board encourage developer to make every effort to leave the site in that direction without a full truck exclusion that has been approved by Mass DOT. So, what we've asked is that the police chief, that we would restrict the trucks from entering and exiting. They may only go southwest for the safety reasons that he had pointed out. As far as the legal, as far as the DOT, we set our parameters, so however that's taken from there. So what we've said is, they come out, they go right, they come back, they come in, which makes the most sense. And what I did like the fact that he did notice in there, and I would hope that if we ever get whacked on this one again, that we look for safety first. So you don't want trucks coming willy-nilly, and I've been on enough construction sites, when they're coming like this, it really is an issue. And this is one, and I'll discuss with the board what they think. I'd like to add, in the event of an accident caused by the gravel removal operation, the developer will be required to pay for a police detail.
Reasonable.
So if something happens, truck damages somebody, hits it, all because of this, then we're gonna crank it down and then have to have a detail cop there the whole time to prevent any future. Okay? And that's what we had for the special conditions. I read them all. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or did they answer most? Uh-oh.
I know, sorry. Thank you. That was actually, thank you for reading that. That was very helpful. The 2021 letter from the consulting engineer that you mentioned, he did make a recommendation to determine if whether or not there was, that they needed to remove the amount of gravel that they were proposing. You said that study was done. Where do I get that
What
study? The 2021 letter that you recommended,
Oh, the 2021 is an
2021.
email we asked town council, and town council said that they have to, they are under section 5-1C of the, I'm sorry, we can limit it, but they need to go to get a special permit from the Board of Appeals.
Right, so it sounds like that has to happen.
Yep.
It is happening, which is
Yep.
great. But didn't that same letter or email also recommend that an analysis was done to determine if that amount of gravel did need to be removed to create this subdivision?
No, that wasn't in this one. This was an email of August 3rd, 2021.
Okay, so we can get copies of all this, so
Yeah.
Kate will be reaching
Yep.
out to you
Yep.
for that packet, because that was very comprehensive and helpful having it all together. So really more of a thank you. That was it.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
I'll be brief, and I'll start with a similar request, which we had actually asked for before the hearing, was any guidance that the board had received from town council. We had received some other materials, but not that, so we'd like to get a copy of that as well. More substantively, the board seems to be of the belief that it's not in a position to make a use determination, because, if I'm understanding some of the comments, that the board can't make that determination or is not in a position to make that determination because this is a subdivision application. And I think that is just a fundamental error of law. There is no reason why the board cannot make a use determination on this project on a subdivision application that's in front of you. The fact that this is an application under the subdivision control law as opposed to a site plan application or a special permit application under Chapter 40A is not a meaningful distinction. There's no reason why the board cannot do that. Otherwise, anyone who wanted to do a gravel removal operation would not bother trying to comply with the zoning bylaw. They would just apply for a subdivision. So this is an important part that I don't think the board should misunderstand. And I represent plenty of planning boards, I represent a lot of zoning boards of appeals, and I represent a lot of private clients in front of zoning boards of appeals as well, and planning boards. My firm is town counsel to probably a dozen different towns on land use and zoning issues, and many more on other issues. So I do have some familiarity with these issues. There's also no distinction for this use question between that issue coming up before you as a planning board or that issue coming up before you as a zoning board of appeals. If it's a use question, it's a use question. And if it comes up, whether it's in the context of a subdivision application or some other kind of application, that's still an appropriate determination for this board to make. And if this board is of the opinion, and I don't see how you can come to any other conclusion, that the nature, duration, and extent of this gravel removal operation is under the case law, a use in and of itself, then the board should deny the application accordingly, because the gravel removal operation is not a separate and allowed use under the bylaw. Finally, the last thing I'll mention, and I appreciate you being so patient to hear me out on these issues, but the last thing I'll mention is that the remand does not tie your hands on any of these issues. In fact, I think the remand was probably pretty clear that your hands aren't tied. This comes back to you with a free hand to do what you think you need to do to protect the residents of the town of Walpole. And that includes the kind of analysis that you've just gone through for the last 10 minutes, reading all of the conditions that apply to the gravel removal operation. That should tell you what this is. If this was really just a residential subdivision, you would be worrying about things like stormwater and things of that nature, and how the lots are oriented and so forth. Instead, what you're spending most of your time analyzing is the gravel removal operation. That's because that's what this is, and the remand doesn't tie your hands and prevent you in any way from making that determination. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'll read it again, so you hear it again. I probably read it all night, and it's not gonna change anybody, but our town council said, in my opinion, section 5-1C of Subdivision Regulations, the planning board may limit earth removal to which is necessary for site preparation and construction of roads, drainage, and utilities. So it says we can restrict it, but it says unless they get a special permit in front of the Board of Appeals ahead of time, which they tried to do at the onset, or they didn't do, but they were showing a plan that was taking it down to where they wanted. So what I see here is they said they have a right to do what they have to do to make the subdivision work within our bylaws. I'm not gonna argue, I agreed, I'm the one that opened this can of worms about 7 years ago. If this was all rock, we'd probably have one house. So, anyway, anyone else have any questions, comments? Come on up.
Kim Williams again from Deerfield Drive. I'll be really quick, but one of the things that I just thought of when the attorney for the Sportsman Club was talking about is that you're setting precedent by making a decision to move forward with this, because we could have other projects like that, and that's not really what Walpole's all about. You don't want to set precedent to do this kind of thing. And the thing that was very surprising to me was, as I said, the 500,000 square yards, or 500,000 square yards, was just roads. And that is just very scary when you think about the traffic, the truck traffic. It's not just, 40 one way, 40 another. That's just the roads, and then on top of that, it's all the land for the lots, 24 lots, and then some. That is just, it's an unbearable burden for the neighborhood. It just is. It's a scenic road, we bought it because of what, that kind of environment, and it's a tragedy. And the other question, just while we're talking about that, is that if the trucks are gonna go right, correct, when they leave, so they're going through Norfolk. Has Norfolk approved this, going through their roads? Because it's just one street over from Deerfield is Norfolk, Daisy. And those roads are, I don't know, sometimes I'm nervous going down those roads. They're so skinny and windy, and I cannot imagine huge trucks going that way. Just
No,
putting it out there.
Norfolk doesn't weigh in with us,
Yeah, I know, but have they been alerted to that?
no.
Oh, well, at some point, you might want to take a trip down that way. It's
I've
very-
been there many, lived here all my life, been there many times, so I
Yeah,
know.
it's- Yeah,
But what it was done for safety reasons, for the simple fact is, across the street, you limited the number of houses because of the railroad,
right.
and when you go right, it opens up once you get to Deerfield. So if you're gonna go any way, that's probably the way to go.
Right.
And I did it myself on MapQuest. It's within 100 feet, I'll say, if they were gonna bring it to Tresker and Millis. You go through Norfolk, you go out through Medfield on Granite, it's within a quarter mile. So it doesn't even hurt the trucks It's not like we're making them go halfway across the earth. It's 6 one, half a dozen other, but the one that provides the most safety, and I think the police chief said it right turn is the safest.
Right, but the thing is, I don't know if they're considering that Norfolk Road. I mean, it is extremely narrow, goes over, a river or something like that. It's got a little bit, I mean, honestly, I don't know.
There's a couple ways, yeah, you can go under the bridge, under the Highland Lake Bridge,
left?
or you go up to the old way.
I think the bridge is too low and too
No, that one, no,
narrow.
you can make it under with a truck, the dump truck, but it's a tough turn.
Yeah.
But you go the other way, I forget the name of that street in Norfolk, so.
Yeah. Anyways, so the other thing is that, what was also incredibly concerning, which I didn't realize, is that we were thinking that the bond was for the whole project. So as, someone who lives very close to this, if they take down, first of all, I'm assuming they're clear cutting all the trees and, taking all of the sand and gravel, and then they can just walk away. What is to protect us? I mean, can you tell us what is to protect us? There isn't anything.
They have a bond on the road.
On the road, right. But they are taking the whole hill, they're taking all the trees. What is to protect us?
What would happen in that instance is if they walked away, we would have bond, whether it's money, cash bond, which I doubt, an insurance bond, or they call it tripartite between the town, a bank, and the developer. That all comes to us. Then it'll be up to the town to do what they have to do. So if they walked away, town would have enough money to go in there and seed it and whatever they had to do to stabilize it and then let it grow as a field.
But that's for the roads.
No.
If they never build those houses.
No, what would happen is because you've exposed everything, you'd have to go in and do everything.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Because they've ripped up everything, you just can't stop with a road, because we're telling them, even on the slopes that the town don't own, that's actually gonna be on private property. Anything to stabilize it, as we said here, we'll have to do if they walk away, that will be in the bond cost anyway, stabilizing all the areas. So if it does happen, you'd have to come in and shoot it with grass seed.
I know, but still, we'll have nothing. As one of my neighbors said, we'll have a runway. I mean, I just feel like we are not protected at all. I mean, I don't know, it's just very depressing. What was the other thing I was saying? Oh, where the trucks gonna be parked?
They're not parked. They come every morning and they leave every night.
But they were gonna idle, they can't idle for?
No, they don't want, the idling is, they're gonna come in, they're gonna wait to be loaded, but they can't sit outside the gate at 6 o'clock in the morning on Lincoln
They can't be on
Road.
Lincoln,
Yeah.
sitting there.
Yeah, and they can't be on site. They can't open the gate at 6 and let the guy sit around smoking, having a coffee.
Right,
No,
yeah.
it's 15 minutes of idle time. That's why we have the environmental monitor as part of that too, to make sure that.
Yep.
One thing you've got here that I've never been experienced on any of these, because we never had anything like this, is an environmental monitor who's gonna go out there and make sure everything is going correctly, so that if you have washouts, you have issues, it's gonna be corrected immediately. They're gonna be the environmental police, so to speak, for the land.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Paul? No. All set, Kate?
I'm all set. I just think it's really important that a lot of the points that were brought up here tonight are things that we beat to death. We've had meeting after meeting after meeting over this. This is not new. I went back in my notes and just quickly could go back to 2021. We were concerned with all of these things. We have looked into them. We're not just fluffing it off. And we were guided by town council. We asked those questions, and we have to go with what our town council advises us. So I just think it's important that everyone realizes that. We did not just say, yeah, okay, go ahead. This is the third time this piece of property has come before us.
Phil?
Yeah, I think this is a very, certainly difficult decision. We did consult with town council and with our, having an independent engineer. So certainly I have a lot of concerns about it though, too, still. John?
I think like most of the residents, we're all looking at it as, yes, the gravel is coming first. And we've tried to restrict the amount of gravel they can take out to as small an amount as we feel is possible. Is it a gravel operation? Yes. No matter what they say, it really is, considering it's gonna take them 2 years to prepare the roads. Can a suit be brought? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. The ones referenced apparently dealt with site plan rather than subdivision. And there is a difference between preparing a site and preparing a area of land to create a subdivision. Right now, we're dealing with creating the roadway that allows the subdivision to be created. If they can't get the gravel out, they can't make the subdivision. I don't see an easy answer to reducing it further than we've tried to at this point. I believe we have to look at the zoning board and make sure that they take every effort to make sure that when they come back to create these lots, they follow all of our zoning bylaws. Thank you.
All set? Hearing what's been said tonight, there's something I just thought of that I want to add another special condition. And this is a condition that prior to construction, a bond must be posted. Because if we don't do that, they could walk away without anything. So at least we have the bond protection. So just like in anything, you're allowed in Massachusetts, before you sell any lots, to go and do what you want. You build a whole subdivision. There's one up the street from you guys, right before Granite, that the guy built the whole road, got accepted before he even built the houses. So if we don't put this in, we might be sitting, like you people are saying, with nothing. So make a motion for that special condition, that a bond must be posted prior to the start of construction of the road, of the subdivision road.
Bond for,
The whole thing. The road bond.
oh yeah, for the road bond, yes.
Because what can happen is if they don't, they could go in there for a year or two without anything. So,
I thought that was part of what we already had, no?
no. You only need a bond to sell lots. There's, up off of 109, the guy there, what was his name, Kate? He went in and did this whole subdivision road, got it accepted before he even applied for any building permits. So you're allowed to do that. You don't have to get a bond, you just can't sell lots. So,
Jack, would you repeat that condition?
the developer must post the bond prior to the start of construction of the subdivision. That's a motion, have a second?
Second?
Have a second? Any further discussions, all in favor? Aye. Couple other things I just want to mention is, we as a board, could we go against town council? Yeah. But then we as a board get in front of the judge, how are we gonna look? He's gonna say, what are you guys doing? Why do you have a lawyer? That's the way I know it goes. I know you won't agree with me because you're not on our side. Actually, we're in a tripartite tonight, aren't we? But anyway, and the other thing, I'll do the gorilla in the room, is the 800-pound gorilla. The zoning board, once upon a time back there, when we had a different building inspector, he was under the impression you didn't need this. We have it from the council that you need it. That's why it's put in here, they must seek. So what I would caution everybody or keep abreast is when they file for their zoning board permit. And the way it's written is, just so you understand, we can't condition something on another board, so it says they must seek the zoning board's approval. So they have to go to the zoning board and file a plan and file for a hearing. Now, if it's determined by the zoning board they don't need it, well, we've done our duty, but I just want to tell you, that's the next process, okay?
So that's before they build anything, before they put a shovel in the ground, they have to go to zoning?
Yep. And they have to go to zoning, file an application, whatever they have to do. But as I said, previous building inspector Yanovich said, no, you don't. But that was another day, but we do have something from town council that indicated, yeah, they gotta get it. So, and I'm just telling everybody, and I know these guys knew it at the start, we've always battled heads, but I want everybody here to understand. That's why it's conditioned that they gotta do it before anything else happens. And exactly when is the last, yeah, prior to release of covenant. So before they can go record this or even post a bond or whatever, before we sign that final piece of paper off there and running, they already would have applied for it. So nothing will start until that is done either. All right?
Nothing will start even in the road. Can't
No, they can't do
do
anything.
anything, yeah.
Has anyone just reviewed, like, all these lots buildable?
Excuse me?
Are all the lots buildable? Are all the lots buildable lots? Because in which case then it does not need to be a 24 subdivision, and it could be a smaller subdivision that would then maybe, because if I understand correctly, what you're saying is, based on the elevation is because they're putting in 24 houses. So what if you guys were to make it a smaller subdivision? That they can still put in a subdivision, but if they're not buildable lots, why are they building roads for 24 houses if they can't actually put in 24 houses?
They have shown engineering-wise, zoning-wise, as far as frontage and square foot, they can do it. Now, that's on paper. Practicality, when they can do it, I don't know.
Yeah, because there's septic plans and all of that.
That's
has to be
where,
part of
that's
it.
where it's gonna come into the zoning board, and
That'll be before they can even break ground and do any work.
they have to apply to the zoning board.
Whatever the zoning board does, but they have to get approval
Yep.
from the zoning board before they
For
can
each
do-
individual lot,
But not to build the roads.
correct.
So it only comes down, at that point, the damage is done for all of us. We've already dealt with 2 years of nonstop crushing, sounding, scraping, pulling, pollution, road damage, and then we're gonna have another, 5 years of it? I mean,
Well-
is that reasonable for?
No, if they apply for it and they gotta go through with it, they should have a hearing within 30 to 60 days after.
But the actual construction, meaning, like, we're now gonna be,
For the individual homes,
yeah, so the people that live in this area are gonna be enduring construction for how many years? That's what I'm getting at, like.
for us, 2.
How about for us? I appreciate you own it, you're not gonna experience this at all. We are the ones that are gonna be dealing with the pollution, the sound, the dangers, the
Well,
risk factors.
what's
all
gonna
of it.
happen, at least I'm speculating here, is when they go to the zoning board, these are the issues that you should raise for each individual lot, that they can set those parameters too. You can't say, well, we'll get those, 2030, like that. As they go through them, each individual lot's gonna have to be waived, but they would have, in my opinion, the right to limit how long this can take.
It's so mind-boggling that we aren't looking at this as a whole, but that's all.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? What?
You also wanted sidewalks in front of lots 1, 22, 3, and 24. Did you want that as a special condition?
No, it's in, it's on the,
Oh, it is.
it's on the plan, yeah. Anyone else? All right. I miss Truax. At least he would have something to say. He could have done most of the defense of engineering, which he should have, but, all right. Make a motion to close?
Second.
Second. All those in favor to close? Aye. All right. Make a motion to approve? Do I have a second for discussion?
Just one question, Jack. So,
I need it for, okay, you can have a question, just give me a second for
Oh,
discussion.
second.
Yeah. All
Second.
right, we have a second, okay, what's up?
so we're out of time, I think, as of today,
No, May 30th.
May 30th, okay, yeah.
But there's nothing else. We have it all here.
Yeah, the only question I had was on just clarifying making sure the amount of gravel, when we went through the different reports, but I know we've been through that before, so. I'm not at the next meeting, by the way, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so, any other discussions? No. All set? All right. All those in favor, say aye. I'm saying aye, because I gotta go by the legal.
Aye.
Not that I'm in favor, it's just gonna go by legal. So I got an aye for me, Kate,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Phil? Doesn't matter.
Don't matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can chicken out and just say no. And they'll carry on there.
No, it's doing the right thing, it's not chicken enough.
It's not, no, time out. What I wanna say is, I do this as a volunteer. I gotta listen to everything that comes in. I'm not doing this willy-nilly, I don't think any of us are. We've listened to town council.
You shouldn't be trying to influence the other members' votes.
Mark, what I did say is, you had plenty of opportunity, you guys, to do something, and you failed, so. So if you wanna start throwing stones, I can throw a lot bigger stones. You just threw a big stone.
Let's stay on track.
No, it just, I don't put up with people who just. Go ahead, Phil. What-
I'll do aye.
Aye, John?
Aye.
All right, 5-0.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Just a clarifying question. The motion to approve was subject to all the conditions?
Yeah,
and
those
special
are,
conditions
all those
that you
special
read into the
conditions are in
record?
there, yeah.
Thank you.
And our standard conditions, which are standard. We never go through those because they're all, what do you call it? Yeah, the same for everybody. Meaning that it just, you had to give us so many final copies, the standard little stuff. Okay? All right, thank you. Don't piss me off, man. Go ahead, shake, Mark, you know, had nothing. They had many opportunities. They could have gone for adverse possession. They chose not to. So, you know,
They could've what?
gone for adverse possession.
Oh, he's the,
Gone for.
That's the right thing to
They
do,
chose not to, so.
it's a legality.
Mrs. Lamb?
I think she can hear you. Wow. I can't wait the next time I go up there and shoot. They're gonna put an orange clay on me and say, oh, sorry. Damn gun clubs.
Trouble, we won't be allowed to.
I think Westwood and Walpole should have a battle.
Does anyone like any chocolate?
Yeah, why does Westwood's Gun Club be involved?
It's not.
They just own the land.
No, they have their own down there.
Okay, I'm all set. All right, Mr. American. All right. Notice hereby given the planning board to hold a public meeting in the main meeting room on May 2nd, 7:05 for an application from Alsarabi Family Trust for 32 Starlight Drive, submitted definitive plan shown on Assessors Map 4, Parcel Zone 4, Map 4, Parcel 4, Rural District, and also shown on Map 4, Parcel 4, 4 through 7, 4 through 8, 4 through 9, and also known as 3, 6, 7, and 10 Alsarabi Way. So, that being said, it is open, and Mr. American question is, I think most of us have seen this, maybe Paul hasn't, but just, you can go through everything, but for my own information, what has really changed that you're doing from the last time?
Sure. You want that preview?
Yeah, I'd like that, just so, yeah, I know you gotta we go through the other stuff, but it's,
The red line was what you approved,
okay.
and the black line's the difference. We're just extending the road 62 feet, the difference,
So the cul-de-sac is just swinging to the left, kind of?
swinging to the left. And I'll explain why.
Okay, that's the only thing changed, right? I know your drainage calcs and all that, whatever goes along with
Yep.
changing it, but that's, okay.
Okay. So, good evening. For the record, Dan Merrickin, Legacy Engineering, here on behalf of the applicant. This is a subdivision that the board approved a couple of years ago at 32 Starlight Drive. It's about 11 acres of land. There was an existing home on the property with a long driveway. The board approved the division of the land into 4 lots, one for the existing home, and then 3 new house lots. So the existing home was on lot 2, and then they have lot 1, lot 3, and lot 4 would be a new house. So, as part of the original approval, the board approved this as a private way. So it's being built to a private way type of a standard. The existing 18-foot paved driveway is being widened to 20 feet. We designed stormwater management systems for the road here and here. These are installed, and they're functioning. We have 2 other stormwater management systems here and here that are basically for those individual lots, and per the original approvals would not be constructed until those lots are constructed. So no houses have been constructed. The road's not yet complete. The water line's been brought in. The drainage system's constructed. The catch basins here are installed. The only thing that's really not constructed is the cul-de-sac. The reason that the applicant, and I guess before I do that, I'll say this. We provided you with an updated stormwater report, but the drainage system didn't change. Why? Because the original stormwater management system was over-designed. It was designed for more than we needed to, so even though we extended the road by 62 linear feet, we didn't need to change the drainage system because it was over-designed. So we provided the new report that demonstrated that fact. So, the heart of the matter here. So the existing, as indicated, the existing driveway was going to basically stay in its existing configuration. We worked the road around it. It will be widened. Some of that work has already been done. And what the applicant wanted to do was essentially they wanted to take this cul-de-sac and move it further away from the existing home. And also, they have some accessory structures that are associated with the existing home. There's a barn here. There's a kiln, pottery. And those, because of the way the original subdivision was configured, are going to exist in an easement on an adjacent lot. So part of this change is to allow those accessory structures to fall within lot 2, which would fall beyond the property of the existing home, since they're basically part of the existing home's yard area. So that's essentially what the change is for. It's not a big change. The proposed profile is very similar. The drainage system, the only change to the drainage system is we've added a second pair of catch basins here because your regulations require a catch basin every 300 feet. So when we got over 700 feet, we're at 723 feet. We needed a third pair of catch basins, so we added a third pair, if you will. There's a pair down here that existed. They've been upgraded. Then we had proposed a pair here, which are installed, and now we're proposing a third pair here, just to meet that requirement of your regulation for a set every 300 feet of road. I know that there are questions. I know the gun club is here about, so in the original subdivision, which goes back to the late 90s, Pine Brook Estates, there was a 100-foot buffer here associated with the phasing schedule that we don't do anymore. And there had been an encroachment into that buffer here. So part of the original approval was to revegetate and restore that. That's been done. It's been loamed and seeded, grass is growing, plants were planted. I don't think they've all survived, so some of them will be reinstalled. We have to put some signs up along here per the original approval. That'll all be done. I anticipate all of that will be done within the next 3 or 4 weeks. Any additional plantings that need to go in because the plants died. But that, in substance, has been completed, it just needs to be polished off. So that is essentially it. It's really the same plan that you guys approved, it's just a slightly different road configuration, same number of lots. And I've seen comments from, and I actually discussed this with the town engineer, about he wants us to provide an interim as-built for these two stormwater facilities, which we will do, before any approvals from this board or otherwise, just so that they can confirm that they've been constructed in accordance with the plans that were originally approved. And we're happy to do that. So that's
That's it.
good for me. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
I'll read what we got. Board of Health, at their April 2nd meeting, voted unanimously to reiterate comments of January 19th, 21, that the Board of Health opposed new construction in wetlands, and they have a long stance on protecting wetlands, as well as residents from vector-borne illnesses. If it's approved, the board urges the applicant to work with Norfolk Mosquito Control for best mosquito mitigation standards, and also regular cleaning of gutters, grading, in order to prevent low points. And the applicant must also address trash and recycling pickup. In addition, the applicant will be required to submit individual septic plans for the lots. Now, this is gonna be an accepted road, right?
It's a private way.
Oh, okay. So the trash comes up, trash comes to the street, right?
I think they have to get their own private trash removal. I'll have to check on that.
Well, yeah, because a lot of these, we do private, but that doesn't, the town can't go on private roads, but doesn't mean they
No.
can't bring it.
Right.
Yeah, and the subdivisions, I know it's condos, that they always, it's in the approvals on a condo, because that's by a site plan, that you've gotta have your own trash pickup, but I think for these, but, given the fact of the distance, and it's in a high-end town, I don't think you can see people wheeling, 500 feet up with their barrel.
I agree.
Oh, okay. Fire department, the proposed dead end is within the 750-foot limit. They find a 20-foot road acceptable, and signage should be appropriate signage with parking restrictions in compliance with 527 CMR 1.00, and the current hydrant are acceptable. We prefer to see loop wherever, and a swept path analysis has been performed, and we found it acceptable. Very good, you're the first one. We've had a lot of those of late.
I've been working on it.
It's amazing, it isn't even engineering anymore, it's always been the fire truck for the last, seems like 2 years, between you guys, Truax, John Glosser. I guess they got the little dinky truck they use. Police, Whipple Police, per Officer Luke Pollen on April 19th. The police department has no public safety concerns regarding this. And from Carl, dated April 26th, and said what he received from you guys and now his status. He goes, the water line hydrant's been installed, tested, and are tied into the existing. The trench water line has been patched where it was installed. The water quality catch basin at 0+53, new pipe catch basin with flare ends to the detention basins have been installed. Head walls have been renovated. Catch basins and water quality at drain manhole 3+61 has been installed. Catch basin 1 been installed. Detentions 2 and 3 are stable and functioning. The existing structures located in the 100-foot buffer have been relocated out of the buffer, and it has been restored with grass. Trees were planted but not viable and possibly have been cut possibly by wildlife. The end of the cul-de-sac and the portion of lot 3 are level graded and gravelled, and some fill has been placed on 4. Recommendations for the new, he wants you to clean all erosion controls, as-built of existing installed work, and review as-built with conservation for a punch list. And here, so do you have this?
Yes.
So I'm reading it for nothing.
You're reading it for everyone else.
I want to say what's there, but Kyle has a bunch of stuff on the plan and deed reference.
He wants us to update, the notes are from the original approval with the original covenant, and
Okay.
obviously documents are gonna change, so he wants us to update those notes accordingly, which we.
Yeah, everything he's asking in here is he wants to revise the abutters. You have two butters that have been changed since the last time. Revise the garage building location at, sheet C4, add dimensions and bearings to the 100-foot buffer, show a water line, show a line, inline water gate where the water line deviates from the original. 5, revise garage building location. 7, test pit info is screened, maybe to be darkened. Oh, something wrong
It's
with.
how the plan is printed.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Stormwater, revise the attachment M as follows. Rational method plan to reflect the addition of the catch basins. Rational method of calculations for the pipe size. And these are only minor changes, and prefers to insert revised sheets into existing booklet. So, basically, there was not a lot other than the little, as we call little changes for the plan to make it proper and for engineering wise. Before I open up the public, John, I'll start with you. You have any questions, comments?
I think maybe Kyle's comments answered it. The garage has been already relocated?
Yes,
From-
moved to this location.
Okay. The kiln. Was there a separate secondary structure there too, besides the garage and the kiln?
There
I
was a
thought there-
chicken coop, the chicken coop is gone.
Okay. So the plan is to replant the trees into something more viable?
Well, whatever hasn't survived will be replanted. I have to go up and take an inventory of it. I don't know what has or hasn't survived at this point, but I will report back to you at the next meeting on that topic.
Okay, vegetation. Where is the vegetation line on there now?
The what?
The undisturbed, the boundary of work kind of, on the bottom side, where is
This
the
is
tree
the
line?
100-foot buffer from the original subdivision.
Right, how much of that is actually wooded and how much is open?
This is all wooded, and then
It's
this
just that section
is the
there.
part that was disturbed, that's been
Disturbed.
restored.
Okay. Has the grading changed in, with the modification to the cul-de-sac? Looks like,
There's a little bit of change, sure. There's a little bit, and a lot of this work has been done already, but there's a little bit of grading change up in here. There's a little ledge outcrop here, so this has been cut back to accommodate the cul-de-sac. But this whole area here is very flat, so there's not a lot of grading going on there.
the general topography is it goes up from the street, right?
Yeah, it comes in fairly level and is, well, I'll show you the profile. Bear in mind, this is exaggerated 10 times in the vertical. It doesn't look anything like this. It comes in at a pretty moderate slope, then it picks up to 7%, and then at the cul-de-sac area, and that's all the existing driveway.
Existing driveway.
At the cul-de-sac area, it's very flat, you can see.
Okay.
So
So the only
1%.
wetlands are in one section of Lot 4 primarily then,
The
right?
wetlands are here. There's an existing pipe with head walls that pass under the driveway.
Okay.
Part of the work was to modify those, put guardrails up, that's all been done.
I don't think I have any other comments.
So,
So there's no change in waivers that you had requested the first time, so everything's the same?
Exactly the same.
And then I have questions about I know the Westwood Gun Club had the memo. And are you good with the recommendations that they had? I wasn't sure.
I haven't seen a memo.
You haven't, okay. They wanted to replant the buffer, which I think you're doing, protect from wildlife, which is eating the vegetation.
So put fence around the
So
shrubs and trees.
That's how I interpret that.
Yeah, okay.
They wanted the permanent signs, and they wanted granite,
Could let them hunt, right?
granite markers every 50 feet.
That's required in the plan.
Okay, yeah, and there was some question about, there should be drought-resistant plants. In the bylaws, in section 5G on buffer zones, it specifies, what type of plants.
Well, that's a whole different buffer zone. That's not really the same.
Yeah, that wasn't clear to me whether it applies to this or not.
I'm sure, I'll look at that. I haven't seen a copy of that, so if I could get a copy of that, that'd be great.
But they're probably going to speak about it too, I don't mean to, but that seemed to be the biggest question that I saw, was, and you said that then, and that my other question, I think you answered for John, that the reason why there's nothing on the left-hand side is because that's on the buffer zone.
It's wood.
Because it's already wooded.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess ideally, if you would want to make it the same plants that are on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, maybe some of that will happen by nature.
I mean, it's gonna naturally revegetate.
Yeah, it will, yeah.
You leave it alone and it's just gonna.
That's all I had. It seems like a very straightforward change, so.
I didn't have anything big. The only thing that concerned me was the fact that that area had to be replanted. I would have thought it would have had to been planted and maintained so that it became viable. So was it just neglected?
No, I think deer ate the plants that were going. That's the only animal that I could think of that would eat a substantial tree or shrub.
So they didn't just die, they were eaten.
It might have been a combination of some of the trees died because they didn't get enough water. I don't know. I'll find out.
They were pretty much eating their bone.
I get deer in my yard, and they'll eat the pines as high as they can put there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mine
And
was
if
the
the
same.
trees are just new, they'll croak them.
So we could put temporary fences around them. That's fine.
I don't have anything.
Paul?
Check, unfortunately, I mean, I have nothing to add, just only because, again, I didn't review, I didn't get the latest plan, Dan, so, and I don't know a lot about this, but, I mean, I just have nothing to add or
So
questions.
would this really be considered a modification of the?
No.
No, you move a road, it's an automatic. You can't move a road at all.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a minor modification in the land of subdivision with the road moving.
Yeah, it's a major modification.
It's a new one. I don't have any questions or comments. The only thing is I got the deer, and what I've read, I haven't tried it yet, is one of the things to keep the deer out is you put some stakes and take fishing line, put it about 3 foot high, because they can't see fishing line at night, and when they run into it, it scares them away.
Really?
I don't know. You
I
guys
hadn't heard
know?
that.
You heard that about deer? Put fishing line. Saw a guy on YouTube, he takes stakes, runs a fishing line, at least a 30-pound test, puts about 3 foot. Deers don't see it and they hit it and they bounce back. Can't do it in my yard. I got some stuff from Home Depot. Looks like salt and some spray. It seems to work, although it did get a few. The bucks never come out to eat it. That's just a little does that you can't hunt. Yeah. No 10-pointers ever show up at my house. All right, that's the only actually comment. Everything else is pretty much straightforward. Mr. Timpson, do you have stuff you guys, I know you're here for the, is this part of this letter was sent to us, so I want to make sure I get it all?
I don't have anything like new material to,
Well, I just want to make sure I get it in the record, Chris. There's Mark Gentili?
Gentile. He's not here.
is not
Okay, Gentile. Oh, I grew up with a guy who called it, he said Gentili, so that's sorry. Is this the memo you're gonna refer to, or you have other
Yes.
stuff? Okay.
yeah, so that's the April 11th, 2024
Yes.
letter that, and so I asked that be part of the record. You guys know the history of what went on here, and my clients, the gun club, appreciate that you've taken steps to make sure that this buffer zone is reestablished and that it's maintained. I think you can see from this change that they've done to the roadway, it's going to push the house on this lot even closer to that buffer.
The house is not gonna be over there. The house for the lot you're talking about is way up here.
It's going to be up there, okay.
No change in that.
So, I'm sorry, but the bottom line is, we've got a road here that's even closer to the buffer. And so roadways draw kids, draw people. I know typically on a cul-de-sac, people put up a basketball hoop or something. So I think we definitely want to make sure that this buffer is maintained. I can't see whether, if this is in fact a wooded area, I would think that we might want the plan to actually say it's wooded as opposed to making it look like there's nothing there. Because how do we know later on if things change? My clients just would really like to make sure that we establish, to whatever extent that you folks can help out on it, to make sure that this encroachment, that we don't have people mowing lawns here, things like that. I think that would be a mistake to have this subdivision end up with that type of a scenario.
You presently have a 100-foot buffer, and per buffer rules and regs, is supposed to remain undisturbed. And this particular one, they're enhancing it because of that area, because there wasn't enough stuff. So everything to the other side we were talking about, Chris, it remains undisturbed.
Yeah. Could we add in here, no disturb on here? I mean, it just says existing 100-foot planning board buffer. It doesn't say anything about,
That's all a matter of record. That's all in the old subdivision plans, there's documentation and all that. And there's notes on the plan that refers to it.
so it wouldn't be a problem to put it on here then?
We're gonna rely on the original documents that mandate that buffer.
But we all know that this is what people are gonna look at, right?
I just had about 2 hours of fun, and I can't get you guys to put one stupid note on there.
We have notes referring to the legal
I understand.
documents that require the buffer.
I don't care whether they make him happy, make me happy, Dan, so unless you wanna go another hour on notes, just put it on there, reference what was there before, that's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
Okay. So they see it.
Each new deed?
Well, that's another issue. We're just talking about the plan right now. And so, the plan, so I don't see anything on here showing where the granite markers are gonna be? I mean, would it be a problem?
Granite markers, there were signs required.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in there before, in the sun.
My client would,
Can I speak?
You have to get up.
No problem.
all right?
I'm Greg Testa, Vice President of the Westwood Gun Club.
Oh, go to the microphone.
Because we're on
Greg
TV.
Testa, Vice President of the Westwood Gun Club. Part of the reason, we're not here to stop the mini subdivision. What we want is we want our buffer back. That was there. We are a gun club. We've got, we're in the good graces with the towns. We're strict with what we do. It came to our attention that that buffer was violated severely. Not only was the buffer violated, filling in the wetlands, it went into our land. We have pictures that show all the debris over our stone wall. Okay? They've corrected that part. The idea that a natural state has grass, as Mr. American said, is not a natural state. Grass is not natural. Okay, that was a wooded land. We'd like it to stay like that. Once you put grass, people are going to think they can mow it and that's their lawn. That's what we're trying to prevent. We don't want kids coming across. There's an opening in the stone wall. Boys will be boys. We know we all did it. We explore. We don't want kids. We've got signs. We're going to put more up. We want the buffer to be protected. That the trees are going to grow. The deer eat them. Yes, we know they do that. Around the trees we plant, we put steel cages to prevent that. We learned our lesson years ago. The granite markers are mainly, we put in here, we were encroached once before. It's very hard to tell. I don't think anybody here can figure it out. I'm a mechanical engineer. I can't tell where the 100-foot buffer is by standing on our property and seeing if we were encroached. With a granite marker that's up about 18 inches, if something comes towards us, we will know. Signs, we know what happens to wooden signs. They rot, they fall over, they get buried in the debris. They don't last. That's why we've thought about this. We're trying to work with them. We're trying to make it so we don't have to come back to one of the boards in Walpole and say, we've been encroached again. Okay? That's what we're trying to do. And then I'll let Chris take it from here.
So, as you can see, they would like to have granite markers delineated on the plan. I think that would, good fences make good neighbors. If we have that there, they're gonna know what's there. Everyone's gonna know what's there. We'd like to have a condition that there's no lawn mowing or anything like that in this no disturb zone. I don't know if there's something that you guys can put in there that requires the trees survive for a certain period of time, because, we need that to happen. They've already failed once. The last, I guess, big thing that they're looking for is if you guys could have a requirement that deeds out, the homeowners would have a reference to the fact that there's a no disturb zone. I think that would put the homeowners on notice. I think it would be, if that's something you folks feel comfortable putting in, that would certainly make my clients feel more comfortable going forward, that people would be on notice.
Now, when they get their deeds, they're gonna have a copy of the subdivision, so they'll see all that.
Now, if it says no, if it says no disturb in there, which it sounds like you're.
Yeah, so they get a copy of that, that goes through, that's recorded.
Yeah.
Correct, Dan?
Okay.
Yeah, so when they go to pass papers, they get a copy of what the plan is, and it shows them exactly what they own and what they don't, correct?
Yeah, like I said, we haven't seen this, so it sounds a lot like what we talked about last time. And once I get a copy of this, I'll go through it all and
Okay.
we'll address it.
It may make some sense, Dan, if you put, like on each lot, just so that they know it's not, like if you put it in one place, they might say, oh, well, it's over there, it's not my lot. I think we just want to make sure that people know what's going on and we don't end up with a similar problem.
Okay.
You guys all set?
I'm just going to clarify that a little bit more. The original deed for that big lot has that in there, that the planning board asked to have it in there, a 100-foot buffer for the Westwood Gun Club. We'd like that in each of the deeds that border, I think there's two, that border that buffer.
It was in there before?
It was in the deed before, so it should be in the new deeds, just like it was, copy and pasted, just like it was before. So someone can't say, wow, I never really understood that. It's in the deed, just like it was before, now that it's being subdivided.
Okay. Is that an issue, Dan?
No, I did the subdivision back in whatever, 97. I don't think this buffer was provided for the Westwood Gun Club. It
No.
was provided to get points for the phasing for the building permit restrictions. That's why
Yeah,
it was
and it was
there.
boarded
It
next
wasn't
to
for the gun
Yeah,
club.
no, it was Adams Farm too.
But it calls out the Westwood Gun Club on the deed,
Or,
on that
Or
deed that was
future.
filed back then.
yeah,
And we just like it there again, on the two lots that touch it. And if any changes come and the third lot touches it, if they redo it, it should be on.
we can do that, right, Dan?
Yeah, there's 3 lots that buffer impacts. The
Okay.
existing house lot, and then lots 1 and 3.
Now, as far as, everybody loves granite, and my 2 cents in this is, yeah, you can put a sign up, maybe it'll get knocked over, whatever, but as far as putting them up, boom, 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 to me, I'd put them up like a stone bound. where it changes. So you can look down, and then if it goes that way, you look at the other one. So they may only have 4, 3, Dan? Does that make sense?
We can put granite bounds in, that's fine.
Yeah, that will, just like you would do for your lots.
You know, there's two separate, this is a big hill. This is a big pile of rock, right? So you can't really see, so you do a road through here, and then I guess we could do a road through here.
What I'm looking for is if you're gonna go out surveying, you could just put your gun on it and then you hit it.
You can't see over the mountain.
Well, yeah, I end up on the top of the mountain, but it gives some frame of reference.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you very much for listening to us and accommodating us. I know you guys have had a long night, so that is all. I love what you've done with the room.
No,
This is awesome.
no, we just do gun
Christmas
clubs
gift coming
every
to Katie.
couple years together.
You know you're not gonna catch the Bruins game on that night.
And I left my phone at home.
Why do you want to listen to
What?
the rules?
0-0, wow.
It was 0-0 last year. Thank you.
I just speak so much, Chris. Would've been home for the second period. I got nothing, no one else has nothing. Any members of public have it? No, they don't seem to care, so. So you will add the bounds and what was been discussed tonight?
Yeah, and Carl wants us to as-built, so we need to continue, obviously, I would say a month.
And you bring everything back at that time, that's fine.
Yeah.
What do we got?
Well, on June 6th, we have West End continued, but we don't have anything on the following meeting in June, which is June 20th.
No,
So you can either, what's the matter?
No, I'm just thinking, no, that's right, they're not doing West End.
Right, so I don't,
This should be, what time's West End on?
7:10.
You be ready by, what, June,
I'm sorry, June 6th?
June 6th?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll put you at 7:08 in front of them. You don't wanna be behind the 95 condos or
Your
apartments.
receipt of tonight?
Joe LaRusso already took the dirt, so that's been gone for 60 years at Swan Pond, so, yeah, extension?
Sure. So, request you grant an extension at a time wish to act up to and including June 30th, 2024.
Okay, I'll make a motion to grant the extension.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I used to get your father going. How about June 31st? Okay.
He doesn't miss any of that, I can assure you.
All right.
Continuing to June.
Bye, Chris. Good night.
Dan is here for the endorsement of 241 Norfolk Street, so if we could do that
June 6th, yeah.
before he leaves, and then
For who? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys are signing.
Do you have a pen?
Right here.
Do we sign first?
could I have a motion to?
Don't sign on the top line.
Okay, make a motion to endorse
Who doesn't sign
site
on?
plan? What is it?
Second.
241 Norfolk Street?
I'll sign on the bottom.
No, no.
All those in favor?
No second.
Aye.
No, I'll sign.
Yes.
No.
You can figure it out.
Long way, huh?
There's a lot of pages.
There's another phone.
Oh, yeah,
There's someone there.
there's one more, I believe.
We'll do some at the same time.
That's the next one. That's the league school.
Can you open this one up and just get this like?
I just need a motion to endorse them in case he.
Hey, Jack, can we get a motion to sign this one too? Get these
The
done?
Lake School.
Lake School?
Let's keep the league here a little longer.
Oh, poor Joe.
Look at the overtime he's getting. Overtime? Go work for American, he gives it out like throwing out manhole covers. DT. Make a motion to endorse the league school.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Go off to sign these.
Couldn't fit it in, sorry, Joe. Still nothing. Where's this going
Almost there.
We got a ton of shit.
Where's the series stand now? Is it 3-2 or?
Yeah,
8 and 9.
yep.
Top on it, keep eating.
Last column, but they asked Maggie when it happened. That's
Could you ask Jeff?
Just let
Or
it.
is that
I
Jeff?
don't put the top on it, man.
Oh,
All of them.
10.
Into the front.
Oh, my God.
Did I
They
miss?
tricked me. It was in a different spot.
Okay, do we have the date was approved?
Did I
No.
skip the front?
Yeah.
Okay. Date of Norfolk, when was that approved?
I got it.
I can go back and look.
Is that thing going on 10?
March 21st? Or 21?
The site plan decision is April 9th.
But it
April
was
9th?
approved, I think, on 3/21.
Uh,
3/21? Like anybody's gonna look, you're not recording anyway, so.
Thank you, Kate.
I'll put plus minus behind it.
That's right.
You want me to do that?
It always does.
Jack, I'll
March
sign the
21.
front page.
March 21st.
What?
And
Oh my God.
I like my folders, huh? Those have come in handy more than once. Where's the subdivision control? Where's the zoning law?
You had all that
I
stuff.
have it.
321 site
Ready?
plan and special permit were approved on
I know, I have
241.
that.
321.
what's he saying?
Did you
Because
pick
you
up?
do everything electronically. I'm old-fashioned, I do paper.
Okay.
Oh, I don't have these notes.
Front page, my bad.
Yep.
No, I'm set. Sorry. I'm crouching under space.
What's today's date? Second? Oh, I just had to look there.
You got a pen?
There you go.
Yep. You have the date of this one,
February 15th?
Planning board rules and regulations discussion.
February 15th? Okay.
That's what we discussed. We discussed that.
You do better if you took your notes and don't remember anything.
It's fine. I'm
Oh.
very talented.
We're gonna put that to a vote.
Almost there. a shorter name.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're writing checks and you don't wanna go. I don't wanna spend it.
Just start signing Katie.
You know me.
Can we talk while we do this? Do we have anything else?
Still gotta sign both sides.
You can't multitask?
You know, a piece of gum so
You
you
see-
completely stop.
Jack, what's the planning board rules and regs?
Those fills.
Oh, those.
We should talk.
There is no way you can talk it right.
I can.
You're very good at talking.
Yeah. I can do like 5 things at once.
Driving and talking on the phone is tough for you.
With a dog surfing on the
So we brought the
console.
paper for the final,
Yeah.
was that the?
Paul, you missed another one.
Now we gotta change paper. Change pens, Kate.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, please.
No, these things kinda, the Sharpies bleed through.
Yeah.
You need new pens?
No, I'm saying, if we do paper like this, we'll have to go with just a regular pen.
Oh, really?
The Sharpie goes right through this.
Oh,
Did I miss another
it
one?
wasn't a subject of discussion.
I did? I missed
And
another
we'll
one.
put it to a vote.
I know. That's right, I'm missing, I'm over the road.
See, he can't do the notebook.
Oh, he knows what he's doing. You know how many times he sends checks out to vendors, the O's? Oh, I forgot to sign it. Oh, send it back.
Never.
Don't use that one, Paul? Approve what, February what?
15th.
You want any more before I close? You guys want some candy?
No, I've already eaten.
Candy?
Carl wasn't here to eat part of it.
John, you want to pass that down? Do you mind? Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
1-0 Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Maybe last year all over again. Time to say goodbye to Montgomery.
Joke.
What is it, third or second?
Yeah, the second.
It's still a second? Oh, that's right, start of date, yeah. Should have a new rule. We'll sign the first 3 pages for free. After that, it's $1,000 a sheet.
Just kidding.
Ah.
That was good. All right.
Damn. Did I see that on TV?
We need music or something.
Sing.
Nobody wants me to sing.
What do you think the chances are? Are they watching the Bruins or us?
I think the Bruins won over us.
What was it, 3-1? The tie-up series, right?
Yeah.
If they win tonight, if Toronto wins tonight, they'll tie up the series.
Yeah.
It'll be down to a game 7, back in Boston.
Yep. We could lose it there again.
I hear is having a meeting tonight, something about the Southwood side.
Moravsky thinks we're gonna get invaded. I'm writing some, why did they change it, did you say?
It was because the kiln and all that was on the,
Oh.
yeah. Remember that was,
The kiln was there before. Why
Yeah.
can't say they moved the road?
I'm sorry?
Why did they move the
so that
road?
they didn't have to have an easement,
Did that have what?
an easement.
Oh.
So remember that was a big
Yeah, well, they had the
discussion
Yeah.
when we did it the first time?
Yep.
So it's part of that lot now, so it's part of the, no conflict.
I just thought it was
Man,
weed plants in my yard. I'm gonna grow a pot.
Where'd you get in?
Watch the deers.
Late last
Get the
night.
munchies. Watch the deers hanging out at McDonald's.
Is it nice out there?
Oh, yeah, 75.
Did a lot of deer?
Yeah, it was nice. Sitting
Yeah,
in
it's usually
line.
3 or 4. All
We had
does.
2 days of business
No
out there,
box.
so
You deserve it.
They come out about
Sorry.
7, just about dusk.
just,
I've been out there with my blower, I get from here to Caton, they don't run, but if you're
Is
walking,
Is your wife?
yeah, she went.
We get them every once in a while, believe it or not.
Yeah, it was nice.
yeah, I haven't heard coyotes since these guys have been coming out. Last year, all our plants like lunched. They went everywhere.
They don't eat anything at my house, they eat down by the pond.
Yeah. Took all the pines and up about 5 feet. They eat all around that.
It's funny, they're not afraid of the dogs either, they look at the dogs like, I think they think they're deer.
Yeah, but dogs, don't your dogs go after them?
No, my dog looks at them like,
Oh, my dog goes nuts in the house.
and they actually, one of them came right up to the dog. They thought it was a baby deer.
That's why when Kevin saw them, he said I'd go up, oh, going hunting in Maine, I'm gonna get myself a big buck. I'll be up there all week. I said, Kevin, TV timeout, Patriots game, I can just go up, pop, and be back before the timeout's done. I could herd them. I could just give them the guns and they do it themselves. But like I said, no coyotes. I've had a coyote in a while, so coyotes there, they're not as prevalent, the deers. You can do a Connex. Do you know the Connex, Connex Housing?
Yeah, I do.
And paint drying, grass growing, or assigning plans. Answer is, which is the most exciting thing you'll do all day?
I think we can talk while we sign.
After Phil's done. You watching the game?
Ooh, Paul is working.
Yeah, it's nice stuff.
Can we take that off his check this week?
Thank you.
He just got back from vacation. He has to catch up.
Thank you.
Again?
No, it was a peer group meeting, but of course, when you go to Napa, California, Jack, you just don't go out there just for a meeting.
Well, drink Bud
You
Heavies,
to drink Bud Light.
Bud Heavies at Chickalos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very sure, we could.
Tell you what, if I went with you, that'd be one sober week for me, because I don't like
John.
So then,
Be
Stamp,
careful, it's
pencil.
open. Step back.
Bring back to us.
Oh, I would've liked a nice cab, but, Kate would've liked a Chardonnay. Yeah.
Well, John can listen. All right, Phil, you had something on subdivision?
First on the master plan, I can do subdivision first.
You wanna do subdivision?
Yeah, subdivision, what I was recommending is that we make some adjustments, some changes. So I had some recommendations, I won't do them tonight, but I had a couple of things, and some things were mentioned during some of the hearings we had.
Okay.
So I don't know whether the process, should I just go ahead and do that? Do you want someone else to work with me?
No, just make the changes,
so I'll
send it
I'll
to
make some
us. And if we have
suggestions.
any, we'll make suggestions.
Okay.
When we get them all together, we can do something with
Okay,
it.
it probably won't, it'll be a little while, it won't be here at the next meeting.
Yeah,
so.
that's fine.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get them, just send them in to Kate, and she can send them to all of us. Right? Okay. All right, that does that. Now, you have one other master plan?
Yes, I do. So I did send all of the changes, corrections that we had to Judy, and she did send back to me asking, were there any others? So I said, not that I know of. So she has not gotten back to me yet, but I did tell her we were meeting tonight. So we'll see what she comes back with. I will say that, in looking through your list, Jack, I had a number of suggestions. Some, as you pointed out, were just your comment.
Yeah, and I just said anything comments, you don't have to change, it's just my own comment.
Yeah, and some of these will be, I think, on me, because I am rewriting that first letter, and that will correct the first four, I think, or,
Do we really need the letter? It wasn't in past master plans.
I'm sorry, what?
Do we really need the letter? It wasn't in past master plans.
It was something that Judy suggested it to me. And I looked at other master plans, and I think it's needed in this case, because there's not an introduction that even gives more context. So I was trying to do that in the letter, was giving more context. I mean, I would have wished that they had done an introduction themselves, but they did not, so.
I'd try and keep it to like fact, rather than just personal opinion.
What was the personal opinion I gave was I thank people, is that?
I don't think we need to. I mean, I think a general thanks, maybe. Thanks to everyone who helped, or thanks to everyone who had input, but I don't think it needs to be
Each person identified, you mean?
as drawn out. I guess that's the best way to put it. I'd keep it like, I just think it should be focused on the master plan, like the content, the plan, what the plan's about. That's all.
Yeah, so I'll be writing a new one and I'll be sending it out and then people can look at it and then, I did ask for a couple other things from Judy, putting in some extra appendixes, because there were a lot of documents they had prepared that are not in the master plan that should be as appendixes, so I don't think they gave themselves, that at the end, we know that it wasn't a particularly smooth ending, so I think a lot of things got lost, so that's where things stand.
Okay.
And, we'll see what comes back.
All right, John, ended right on time. All right. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.